Stand up, New York Giants fans. Baddog, what's going on? How was your Thanksgiving, man?
It was good, buddy. How was yours? Hope you had a
Went over to my brothers, had pasta, had turkey. So
turkey coma.
Can't go wrong with that. Can't go wrong with that.
No, I was just laughing. I was looking at my intro. Just my hand gestures are funny, man. I guess I love this one. I love because this was when we clinched the playoff berth last year. Because I got to enjoy a playoff berth, and then I just look at the other ones like I do all the time when I'm pissed off, and there's a lot of that in my intro. So,
hopefully we get to celebrate like that again in the not too distant future.
We will. Nice. Hopefully by the time my kid's not in college, we'll be able to do that again because that was fun. This year obviously has. Oh, God, it's been a disaster. It's just been a mess. Fan bases in disarray. Just being on Twitter all the time, you can just see it. A lot of people just have different.
You might need a Twitter. You might need a Twitter break for a couple of weeks. It does do the body good. It does do the body good to get away from that for a couple.
It's kind of funny. I kind of throw the troll things out there sometimes. Sometimes I'm serious. Like I'm all over the place myself on Twitter. Like with the Tommy DeVito stuff, a lot of it's when I said he cleared Sam Howell, that was obviously just joking around. Maybe I was joking around about that. I'm not a Sam Howell fan. I'm sorry, I'm just not. And Dallas is pretty damn good. I mean, I know Eagle fans will say they haven't beaten anybody worth a damn, but they're a pretty good team. That Eagles Cowboys game in a couple weeks should be really, really good. Let's see who we got in the chat. Who's joining us today after your Thanksgiving? Luckily, we see some people have woken up from their turkey coma. Mickey X, what's going on? 10 Baseball says 20 push-ups per minute. Well, we were discussing stuff before the stream. We were fashionably late. Marjorie Simmons, Afghanistan, Daniel Berry, Pat's times in the house. He says, go Giants beat the Patriots. So you see, Giants fans that want to tank, you're not the only one. Patriots fans are also now rooting for the Giants.
There's about 8 fan bases right now that want to tank.
Yeah, exactly.
We just happen to be one of them. But yeah, thank you to everybody for being here. Appreciate it. And we'll see. We'll see how this week plays out. More guys on the injury report. I saw that today. Haven't been on Twitter a lot this week, but I did see. I think Evan Neal's going to be out this week.
Dex is
questionable, right?
Yeah, he probably ain't going to play. Why would you play him?
So we'll see. I mean, I do think we stand a good chance to win this game. I do. I think of all the games that are left on our schedule, this is the most winnable. I did say the Packers a couple of weeks ago, but now the Packers actually look like they're playing good football. Yeah. Jordan Love looked tremendous on Thanksgiving. He looked good the week before that against the Chargers. So that game doesn't look nearly as winnable as I thought maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago coming out of the bye. So yeah, when I look at our schedule, Baddog, I think this is probably the last remaining game on our schedule where you could go into it like being like, I kind of expect to win or at least a good chance to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, the defense played really well against Washington last week. And obviously the Patriots, I don't even know who the other starter is. I don't even think it's Mac Jones. I don't know if they're going with Bailey Zappi or who they're using. They're in complete disarray as well. Now, one thing with Tommy DeVito, who is a great story, and I'll continue to pump that story all freaking year.
Yeah, I haven't been able to keep up with the Twitter and what you've said with Tommy DeVito this week. What have you been saying?
Well, I mean, just a few things. I find it ironic, and of course I get into these. When I did that Jonestown video, the beginning of last year, I know that there was a couple of content creators. Well, I was just mentioning it because kind of squashed it with them. I've worked with both Ace Fisk and Cobb Hizzle thought I was talking about them. And I never was. I was talking about the people on Twitter and the people on Instagram, more Twitter than anything, because these people were DMing me. When I would do a video talking about how Daniel Jones had a bad practice, I'm at work when they're practicing, and my shit would get lit up in the DMs about, oh, where's your video about how good Daniel Jones is? Where's your video about it? And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with some of these people? So today, and again, this isn't like saying Tommy DeVito is great and our future number one quarterback. But the statistic is, and it's insane, in 80 pass attempts, Tommy DeVito has 6 touchdown passes. In 247 pass attempts, Tyrod Taylor and Daniel Jones have 4. And then somebody's trying to tell me, oh, well, Tommy DeVito didn't play against all these teams and he got touchdowns in garbage time. But Daniel Jones played in a bunch of garbage times game. They got blown out by Dallas. He was in their whole game. He threw 104 yards and no touchdowns. We got blown out by San Fran. He didn't have any touchdowns. We got blown out by Miami. He didn't have any touchdowns. We got blown out by Seattle. He had 1 touchdown. It was the wrong team.
Yeah.
He had no touchdowns in any of those garbage time games. So again, I'm just saying this is how bad our passing attack has been. The fact that Tommy DeVito has 6 touchdown passes in a third of the attempts that our other 2 starters have had. It's crazy.
That's a good way to put it. Because I think when DeVito got thrown into the lineup, we all expected Jake Fromm 2.0 or Mike Glennon 2.0. Like at least last week, and I understand that there's a lot of fans out there that want the team to lose.
Yeah,
I am of the mindset, like I said on Twitter, where I go into the game rooting for the team to win, but it's not like I'm like it. Obviously, it's not the same feeling that I have when it actually matters, and you know that you're out of it. And if the team loses, I'd be like, okay, well, something good came out of it. But I don't know how, if you're a Giants fan off last week, you can't at least be really happy for the players, be really happy for Tommy DeVito, the way that he played. And if nothing else, it's a good story. Do I think Tommy DeVito is going to end up being a starter in the NFL? Probably not. Do I think he's going to end up being the future starter of this team? No. But it was fun. It was exciting. And hopefully he could build off of that this week. Do I think he will? Probably not. Belichick's great. And, a rookie quarterback, he's going to throw the kitchen sink at him. But it was a really fun week last week, seeing Tommy DeVito do what he did. It was fun.
And that's
which is something you can't say in recent history with the New York Giants.
Exactly, Chris. That's what I'm getting at. This has been such a terrible season. We've had a lot of injuries. We've had a lot of guys underachieve. It's nice to see a guy overachieve. It's nice to see a guy that nobody expected to be in this position. He barely made the team. He didn't even make the team. He was on the practice squad. I remember in the end of preseason, we were actually a little worried that somebody might pick him up because we did like him and we saw him a ton in preseason. And we did like him. I mean, we didn't think he'd ever be starting at this juncture. And I certainly didn't think he'd be throwing 3 touchdown passes in a win against Washington. But this is the excuse. This is the thing, the way that people move the goalposts. Talking about how Tommy DeVito had the same offensive line 2 weeks in a row, how he was reason he got sacked 9 times, 7 of them were on Tommy DeVito. Oh, Washington's defense is terrible. You can't count that. It's incredible to me. I'm like, listen, I'm just proving a point that the pass offense has been terrible. And this is a nice story. And listen, I ain't going to pull any. I'm Italian, man. I like this for this kid. Hey, I like this for this kid. Oh, come on.
I saw G19 put that. That is the best touchdown celebration in the NFL.
That's what I put too when I did that. I said, this is the best touchdown celebration.
What was the nickname you came up? I saw Tommy Cutlets is a popular nickname I've seen on Twitter this week. Tommy Cutlets.
We when I put the vote out there, Tommy Pastrami won out. Tommy Pastrami.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It rhymes, kind of. It works.
It was between Tommy Pastrami and Tommy Touchdowns.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a nice story. Do I expect him to do that against New England? No. Will he do it again in the NFL? Your guess is as good as mine. But it was a nice week. Listen, I am like you. I go into these games, I'm indifferent, right? If they lose, I'm not going to be upset about it. If they win, I'm not going to be upset about it. But no matter how I look at this team and say, yeah, and I'm on record. I'm not going to sit here and pull back. I want the quarterback replaced. And a lot of it has to do with his injury history more than anything. People say, oh, that's just an excuse. I mean, I don't care. I love when people tell you what you're thinking. That's my favorite.
That's the best.
They tell you what you're thinking. Oh, you're only saying that because you know what I'm thinking. Sure.
That's the best.
But I don't think there's any question. His injury history, these are serious injuries. Mm-hmm. They're not pulled muscles. This is a torn ACL. He's had 2 neck injuries. I just think it's time for a fresh start. I just think the Giants need a fresh start. They could draft Caleb Williams. They could draft Michael Penix. They could draft Drake May. That guy could come in here and be terrible. And facts be known, looking at the offensive line, whoever the hell our quarterback is, they're not going to probably be able to live up to the expectations we think they will if they get an offensive line around. The offensive line has been shit, and we know that. It's just time for a fresh start. This has not worked. This has been 5 years of mostly bad football. I mean, obviously we had a good year last year, and I was hoping that he got over the mental block, and then he came right out, and Carl Banks said it on our show, and it was a great point. He thinks that Dallas game really hurt his confidence.
Yeah.
And then he had a really good half against Arizona, but the confidence wasn't there. It just wasn't the same. It hasn't been the same quarterback all year. Even before the injuries, and the offensive line wasn't good last year, Chris. So it's not like they were like, oh, the offensive line.
It's really worse this year, but it wasn't good last year.
Right.
I think what this year did for me, and we knew the offensive line was bad. This offensive line is like record-setting bad, and I know everybody, and I know everybody like you want to say wants to blame everything on the quarterback whenever he gets sacked. Not every sack that the team gives up could you throw on the quarterback. And right now, the New York Giants are on a record-setting pace to give up the second most sacks in the history of the NFL in a single regular season. I think we've given up 63 sacks. 78 is the second highest total ever in a single regular season. They are dead last, no matter what metric you look at, whether it be PFF, whether it be ESPN. They are dead last in run blocking and pass blocking. And I think this year, if nothing else, I think should show Giants fans just how important a healthy Andrew Thomas is. Because last year when we had a healthy Andrew Thomas in this lineup with basically the same line for the most part, it wasn't good. It was still very bad, but it wasn't record-setting bad. Yeah. And when you take Andrew Thomas out of what is already an abysmal offensive line, it goes from like one of the 5 or 6 worst offensive lines in the sport to not just the worst in the sport now, but among one of the worst of all time. Like, that's how bad it's been this year.
Yeah. Oh, there's no question. The offensive line is horrendous. And that's why people are like drafting offensive linemen. I'm like, dude, I'd rather draft other positions and just pay money for one that can play.
Yeah.
I mean, because we have taken swings at this offensive line in the draft more than anybody else has since Daniel Jones was drafted. And for whatever reason, whether it be coaching, whether it be scouting, whether it be the players just aren't good, or they can't figure it out, or they can't play in New York, or it's the quarterback, it's whatever the hell the reason is, it just outside of Andrew Thomas really hasn't panned out. Now JMS still, we don't know much about him. He's looked pretty good, but he also dealt with an injury, and Evan Neal continues to deal with injuries. So, Evan Neal hasn't been good, but he also can't stay in the field consistently, and that's only going to, hamper his progression. That's only going to hurt his progression because he can't get those reps. So I don't know, man. It's been a really, really freaking rough season without question. And again, the next quarterback may come in here and he may be total shit. And that's very possible, but you can't keep doing.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I'm in agreement with you. Again, it all depends on where we're picking. I don't want to force a quarterback.
No, you can't do that.
Because then you're going to have a Daniel Jones situation all over again, where you take a quarterback where you shouldn't. So if we're in a position where Joe Shane feels there's a franchise-altering quarterback, or he could trade up to a spot where he could get a franchise-altering quarterback, you do it in the situation that we're in. Because at the end of the day, the whole team's a mess. You have to start with the most important position if you're put in an opportunity to do so. But I don't want him to just draft a quarterback to draft a quarterback. Like, if he feels, I don't know, Michael Penix, for example, if he feels he's an upgrade over Jones, but he isn't a franchise-altering quarterback, I don't want him to draft him where he's picking at the top of the first round. You better be fully invested in this guy. You better feel he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL or damn near close. Otherwise, you shouldn't be spending that pick on that quarterback that high in the draft. That's how I feel about it. But the good news is I think they're going to feel that way. I think they're going to be in a position to take one of these guys, or at least have the opportunity to trade up. So I'm in agreement with you. I think that's where I'm at as a fan. Is I think we all should realize that there's multiple things that need fixing on this team.
Yeah.
Especially on the offensive end. This line is not passable. No matter who the quarterback is, this has to get a lot better, but we also need an upgrade at the quarterback position. When you have an opportunity to upgrade the most important position and reset the rookie clock by doing it, you do it.
Yeah. And again, to me, I've always thought Daniel Jones physically could do this, but he's not reactionary enough. He's not quick enough. Like if he was on San Francisco, he'd be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. There's not a doubt in my mind. If you surround Daniel Jones with that talent, this is why I say the Giants failed Daniel Jones. And I know people said, well, Daniel Jones failed the Giants. Daniel Jones got the contract, and I understand that. But Daniel Jones had these issues coming out of college. This is nothing new. You see the tape on him. You know what he is. And his rookie season, you saw what he is. And you knew. So as a GM, as an organization, you're supposed to find things that you can put around him that can elevate his skill set. They didn't do that for him. So I don't think Daniel Jones will be like, just say he's done with the Giants after next season. And I don't know. You never know what the hell the future brings. But if he goes to a team that is a better team with better pieces, he's going to be good.
About 31 other, that's like 31 other teams in the NFL.
Well, line-wise, yes.
Yeah, in terms of offensive support system, yes. Yeah.
But I like, if he's on the Eagles, I think he's a damn good quarterback. If he's on Dallas, I think he's a damn good quarterback. I think that he'd be a damn good quarterback if he was on these other teams. I don't think Brock Purdy is better than Daniel Jones. I don't give a damn what his numbers are. I just watched him play. I don't think Brock Purdy's better than Daniel Jones. Brock Purdy's in a much better situation than Daniel Jones is. It's just what it is. The Giants failed him. Sometimes you get married, then sometimes it doesn't work. And that's kind of what happened here. They were on the rocks a little bit, and then they rekindled their love, and they had a great honeymoon last year. The honeymoon season was great with Brian Daboll. They, consummated the marriage with a big contract, and then, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of falling apart. And again, for me, it's just, you just got to do something different. Whether it's right or it's wrong, it has to be different. Whatever the hell the Giants are doing, it's not working.
No, you got to start over. You got to start over.
Yep.
And we've talked about it several times. Don't think about, I know there's a lot of Daniel Jones haters and a lot of Daniel Jones lovers out there. Mm-hmm. I tried to think, I think when both of us talk, we try to talk from the mindset of the general manager when we talk about what we think the team's going to do.
Yeah.
That's at least what I try to do. I try to put myself in Joe Schoen's head and say, what makes the most sense?
Yeah,
and a lot of the Daniel Jones haters last year hated me because it did make the most sense to bring Daniel Jones back.
Yeah.
This year, if you're thinking from the mindset of Joe Schoen, it makes almost no sense if you're in the position to draft his replacement to bring him back.
Yeah,
none.
It does.
None. It's going to shorten the leash in terms of your job security. Yep. You're not going to be able to draft your quarterback. Like there's way too much risk involved if they're picking at the top of the draft not to take a quarterback from Joe Schoen's perspective. So just for that alone, unless we somehow rattle off 3 wins that none of us see coming, I think the writing's on the wall, Baddog. That's where I think we are.
Yeah, I think it has to happen. Again, I just think things need to change. They tried, had one good year, and then he went back and again, it's just everything. Everything completely fell apart. We had 5 good minutes this season before it just completely collapsed. And then you had a glimmer of hope against Arizona. You knew that they probably weren't going to beat San Fran. I mean, I don't think anybody went into that game expecting to beat San Francisco. But I think, for me anyway, Chris, when we came back home against Seattle, who had the second worst passing defense in the league, and I know everyone's like, oh, Daniel Jones were the toughest teams in the league. Well, Arizona isn't tough.
Yeah.
San Fran and Dallas are. I'm not going to say. Seattle does not have a good pass defense. They haven't had a good pass defense all year, and they looked like the 85 Bears against us. And same thing in Miami. They're okay pass defense, but they're not Dallas. Their defense isn't Dallas's defense. Their defense isn't a top defense. Mm-hmm. So, that Seattle game, though, when we got blown out in that one, that was kind of the end for me. I got really pissed off.
We knew the playoffs were over at that point.
That was it. Yep, that was it. 4 games in, I said, we're done. Yeah. If we would have got to 2-2, and then and we almost beat Buffalo, but if we would have got to 2-2, and, even at 2-4, you started to look at Washington. We always beat Washington. And I just think that Seattle game was everything. I think if we would have won that game, the outlook, the season could have even been different. Who knows? But that was kind of the game where it's like, all right, this is done. And I just don't have confidence in him. He could not do anything. He got sacked 11 times. Okay, so he was terrible. But that pick 6 was all on him. He just stared down the receiver. A rookie said, we know what he was going to do. We know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to stare down the guy. I'm going to jump the round. I'm going to take it. That's rookies should not.
Listen, Daniel Jones, and you say it all the time, his problem's in between his ears. And he doesn't. Yeah. He does. The more you watch him, the more you realize and we all recognize that the situation around him is awful. And we all recognize that last year he maximized what he had around him. He did. And it was because the Giants came out with a game plan that fit his strengths. And this year they tried to expand upon that, and you've seen that he has not been able to grow as a quarterback.
Correct.
He's not a franchise quarterback. He's not. He was a guy that was a hold me over that they had no choice but to keep. You made the playoffs. You won a playoff game. You were picking 25th. He played well. Things didn't work out. You pivot. You move on. You start over, and you got to hope that this quarterback they bring in is the guy.
And you got to hope that the GM knows what the hell he's doing building around the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's what you got to listen. Like you mentioned, Chris, you don't reach for a quarterback. If you're going to draft the quarterback in the top 5, you better sit there and go, I can win a Super Bowl with that guy. That guy's got Super Bowl talent, because that's what you're doing when you draft the quarterback that high. And when you don't, when you draft the quarterback as high as we did with Daniel Jones, and it don't work out, you see what kind of hell your team, and you see what the franchise ends up like. When your quarterback can't overcome the deficiencies of the organization, he can't elevate guys. Okay, that's just not.
It's just for me, it's just processing speed. And
without question.
He's too. The issue you saw before Daboll got there is 2 years with Judge. He felt like a robot back there, and that's why I think we both expected him to move on last year, and he got better last year. And a lot of that should be credit to Daboll and Jones himself. He deserves credit, but he still doesn't process the way. You watch some of these upper echelon quarterbacks. The ball is out. The ball is quick. He doesn't do it enough. And that's the biggest problem. And for me, when I'm going to look at these quarterback prospects this offseason, and we're just fans at the end of the day, but the guys that I'm going to the thing I'm going to be looking for the most, because we all know they got arm strength. You watch Drake May, his arm strength's off the charts. You watch Caleb Williams, his arm strength's off the charts. Michael Penix, arm strength off the charts. It's the processing speed. How do they deal with pressure around them? That's what I think the Giants will be looking at, because that's what's most important.
That was something else somebody said to me when I mentioned the DeVito statistic about the 6 touchdowns. They said, well, Tommy DeVito's got no expectations, no pressure. I'm like, well, my God, if you can't live up to expectations and you can't handle pressure, you need another profession. This is the NFL, baby. You get them big contracts, you're expected to perform. That's your job. So I don't want to hear about, he's got all this pressure on him. Of course he does. I mean, that's what a quarterback has. They know this going into the NFL. But if you can't handle pressure, that's not an excuse. You need another profession. You need to be able to handle pressure. That's the biggest part of being a quarterback, is handling pressure. Now, granted, Daniel Jones probably has more pressure than anybody else. He plays in New York. He got a big contract, literally and figuratively, because the line can't stop a nosebleed. But yeah, you just, like I said, we'll see what happens. But his processing speed it's just never developed, and because they can't protect him, it's just a terrible combination. Yeah, and it's ended up in the disastrous offense that we've seen for many years. And I said a couple weeks into the season, I think I said this when we did the show with Patty, I feel like defense is adjusted to Brian Daboll's scheme, and they stopped those quick passes and everything else. And once they got up there, now Daniel Jones didn't know where the hell to go, and then they make them hold on to the ball a split second longer, and the line's no good. The defense is there. You take away those quick passes from him, really don't have a chance, because the defense can't, offensive line can't hold the defense up for another, 0.2 of a second. That's all it takes. Yeah. So I feel like defense is adjusted to the Giants, and they never adjusted back. That's why I think Daboll's had a bad season. That's why I think Kafka's job is on the line. Let's see, it's been a really. I think
last week gave Kafka a good chance of coming back next year, because the team is not quit. You saw the offense, and granted, they created 6 turnovers. But you saw that you see the team has certainly it was a very good sign for Brian Daboll. For everybody says that Brian Daboll is losing the team, that was not the case last week. And that's what I took out of that game more than anything else, is the team is still fighting for Brian Daboll despite what's going on. Yeah, listen, I understand the people that want the Giants to lose and get I'm not going to sit here and get mad at you. What really pisses me off? I hate when people are like, I want to tank. And then other people that don't want to tank go, you're not a fan. You do not get to tell a Giants fan that they're not a fan if their opinion is contrary to yours. Just because they don't believe winning meaningless games does anything for the team, and they're looking towards the future. They've already tossed in this season, so this year's over. I'm looking towards the future. I want to win in the future. This season's a wash. To hell with this season. Let's go move on. You can't get mad at those people and go, oh, you're not a fan. No. And at the same time, if you're rooting for the Giants to tank, and again, I put this, vote on Twitter, and it literally is 50-50. Like, I literally put on there, what is the thought process, Giants fans, going into Sunday? Win, tank. It's literally like 50-50. It's crazy. Yeah. But at the same time, if you want them to tank and other fans want them to win,
You can't get mad at the fan base that wants to win. You can't get mad at those fans. Go, oh, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You want to be in purgatory. If they want to win, they want to win. You can't tell somebody how to fan. You can't tell somebody how to think. Those people are the ones that piss me off more than anything. Is I'm going to tell you that you're not a fan because you want them to lose. No, they root for the team differently than you. Does not mean they're not a fan.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like if you put me on a lie detector and you ask me, Chris, what's better for the long-term interest of this team, I would tell you to lose out and get the high draft pick. That's
Absolutely.
the truth. But by the same token, as a fan, I have no control over what happens. None whatsoever. And I'm just not going to root for my team to lose. I know that those guys are putting in the work each and every week to go out there and try to win football games. And I'm kind of in a situation, like I said earlier, if they win, I'm happy for the players. I'm happy for the coach. Yep. And if they lose, I recognize the good that comes out of it. That's where I am right now with where this team currently is. But I'm never going to get upset or lecture a fan that's saying, no, it's in the best interest to win. You're a fan at the end of the day. That's what you should want. You should want your team to win. And at the same time, like you said, I'm not going to lecture the other fans either, because at the end of the day, their mindset isn't, their mindset is I want to lose the battle to win the war. That's what it is. It's I'm willing to take lumps this year if it's going to give us a better chance to win in the future.
Correct.
So I can't bash either side of the argument. That's and like you said, nobody should tell another fan how to fan. At the end of the day, this is entertainment.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
This is supposed to be fun. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm never going to call a fan a fake fan because they're hoping to get a higher draft pick. And by the same token, I'm never going to be like, you're dumb. No.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not telling somebody how to root for this team. You do whatever the hell you want to, right? I root for them the way I want to. Chris roots the way for him he wants to. You guys root for the way, because the fans that want to tank this year, it's not like they're like, oh, I hope we lose every game next year. I mean, they're not doing that. If they're like, I hope we don't make the playoffs for 5 years, then you can question their fanhood. What the hell are you doing? Why you bother watching them? Yeah. But when you start off 2-8, and you haven't been competitive, and there's a shitload of injuries here, and the offensive line has been bad, and everything's been bad.
Yeah.
And you say, the hell with this. I just want to change. And I want to change the most important position, which is quarterback. And the only way we're going to get a quarterback is by drafting in the top 3. And I want to draft the top 3. And the only way to draft the top 3 is by losing games. Stand it. And like you said, in the same token, I'm happy for the players. When we start watching these games, I can't sit here and cheer against them. It's not in my DNA. Well, at the end of the day, it probably is better in the long run for them to lose, like you said. I can't sit here and if Mac Jones, I don't know who the hell the quarterback is, just say the Patriots throw a touchdown. I'm not going to go, all right, pass. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to do that. So it's just been a shitty year, and it's been shitty years because it seems like we're in this discussion every year. It seems
outside
like
of one. That was outside of one. This is where.
And I think the fact that we made the playoffs last year made this year even worse.
Well, yeah,
because we had
higher expectations,
hopes, right? And then it just right in the shitter. Let me get to a few of these super chats. Brady, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, "My bros, salute. You know me and my Bacardi." Thanks for hitting the thumbs up. By the way, hit the thumbs up if you guys and girls haven't. And when I was at the gym today and doing my arms out, I freaking strained my neck, and that thing is killing me. It's not really a neck, it's a trap thing. So I don't have the Daniel Jones injury. He says, I hope you guys had a great and blessed Thanksgiving. I hope you guys and girls did too. Hit the like, support. It's the Pats. I always want to win. There you go. Chris, thank you for the super chat. He says, to me, last week showed how Jones held the team back this year. To be fair, and again, I ain't taking sides, but sometimes I just like to play devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones didn't get to play against Washington. I'm just going to say
that's very fair. And Daniel Jones, for the most part, this whole year didn't get to play with Andrew Thomas,
right? Or Saquon,
so it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Is Daniel Jones better than DeVito? Yeah, I think he is. But at the end of the day, he's not good enough. He's replaceable. Right. If you're in a position where you could replace him, you're going to do it. It doesn't matter. It's just it's whatever at this point. Do I think he's still the best quarterback on the team? Yeah. I think he's shell shocked, and I think he's just mentally screwed up at this point.
Yeah,
but he's not good enough. He's replaceable, and you're going to replace him when you get the opportunity.
I think he's hearing. Listen, you can sit there and say you don't hear the fans, you don't hear media. They do. They're human. They hear it. He's been hearing it ever since he signed that contract, and I do think that screwed him up going into the year. without question. I really do. And then the game against Dallas, and that was kind of the end of it. Although, like I said, he had that miracle happen Arizona, and you thought, okay, but then he just, I don't know. It's just, that was weird. He had one good half of football the entire season, and that was it. And again, if we're sitting here discussing he needs this, he needs that, he needs this, he's not in his 5th year, he ain't the guy.
Not good enough. He's not good
He may not be the entire problem. He's not the entire problem. We all know this. The Giants have many, many holes that need to be fixed. There's tons. Daniel Jones is not solely responsible for the Giants being poor. There's a lot of reasons for that. But he's also not the solution. Because when at the end of the day, no matter how bad this team is, Daniel Jones should be good enough to at least compete against Seattle, to compete against Miami.
Yeah.
He needs to compete. He needs to compete against Dallas. We can't lose 40-0 to Dallas when you're Daniel Jones. You have to at least make the games competitive. Yeah. And it wasn't this year. And there's just, man, I'm telling you, the way things are handled, everybody got paid. Barkley didn't. I swear to God, there was a divide. I mean, I'm not in the locker room. People would say, oh, the locker room's fine. There's no way you don't hear this stuff going into the year. And I think that he was trying to live up to a contract. And Chris, we saw him do things, early on in the year where he was trying to force shit. He did not do that at all last year. He did not force plays. He was smart with the football. He led the league in interception percentage. He did not make dumb throws. This year, you saw it early. He was pressing. He made a really bad throw against the Cowboys. He did not do that all last year. And I think trying to live up to that contract and all the detractors that were talking, he's not worth the contract. Why are you paying him the money? There's no question. He's like, I'm going to prove these guys wrong. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be Pat Mahomes. Well, he can't be Pat Mahomes. Yeah. And that's a bad thing to do. And then when he realized he can't be Pat Mahomes and he's having a hard time living up to the contract, everybody's ripping him a new one, your confidence level dwindles. And once your confidence is gone, I don't care what position you're playing in the NFL, you're shot. That's one thing they say about a defensive back. You need to have a lot of confidence and a short memory because they get burned a lot. So unfortunately, I think that's struck our quarterback, and we'll see how it goes from here. I don't know. Johnny, even super chat, he's happy. I mean, his Eagles are doing good. Just beat the Chiefs. He says, guys, y'all are the best. So how can I be the best? You're the best. You two finally put your stubborn ways and ego aside. Come join the Eagles. You, my friends, deserve better. Just -3 Super Bowls. Johnny, we love you, buddy. Well, you couldn't pay me to be a Philly fan.
Never. But we love you, man. Thank you for popping in, but never.
We had a great Thanksgiving, by the way. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving yesterday, without question. And the Giants play the Patriots this week. I'm definitely looking forward to the bye. I can tell you that right now. Looking forward to that. Chris, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, we got stopped. Blame old Jones's failures. Look at Tommy's success last week and took 9 sacks. Again, not arguing. Tommy DeVito, wonderful story, quite frankly. Love the kid. He's a good kid. He's Italian. I love the Italians. He had a big Thanksgiving dinner, I heard too, Chris. A lot of things. He had macaroni and cheese. He had the penne. He had the pasta. Had lasagna. He had the turkey, the ham. And maybe leaving a little fettuccine Alfredo. We call him Tommy Fettuccine. But
I mean, both things could be true. And I mean, if you go back and watch that game last week, Washington's coverage was awful. And I'm not trying to take away anything from Tommy DeVito. He played great. But both things can be true. Like the offensive line is awful. And it's me more so worrying about the next quarterback, the Daniel Jones. Like, I've moved on from Daniel Jones. I don't want what happened to Daniel Jones to happen to the next quarterback.
Hell no.
And if this offensive line does not improve, it's going to. It might look prettier, but we're not going to win jack squat if this offensive line doesn't get much better. You're not going to beat good teams with the line like this. So both are true. We need an upgrade in both areas.
The one thing I'll say about Tommy taking 9 sacks is he showed resiliency. He wasn't gun shy.
Yeah, for sure.
People said he held on to the ball too long. Listen, man, that kid was trying to make a damn play. I mean, he wasn't just checking the ball down. He was trying to throw the ball down the field. I saw more throws go down the field last week. And again, you can blame Washington's coverage, and I've seen pretty much all season. But that's the one thing I'm going to say about Jones. He didn't get to play Washington. He didn't get to play them. So we don't know what Jones going to suck. Historically, he hasn't. Historically, Jones's best games have come against Washington, even in the one time that they beat Jones, because Dexter Lawrence was quote unquote offsides, and we know he wasn't. Jones is really undefeated. I think the only bad game he really had against them was last season.
Yeah,
because Jones made a living off of Washington.
Yeah.
So I would think Jones would have had good games against Washington. If I had to guess, I don't know, but his track record against that team is pretty damn solid, and I think he would have done well. But I'm like I said, I'm happy for Tommy. But you look at the game against Dallas, he had 80 some odd passing yards. He couldn't play against that defense. So I don't know, man. What I do know is it's a mess here.
At the end of the day, who cares? The fact that it's even a discussion tells you need to move on from Daniel Jones. That's it. Like, yeah, do I think Jones better? Yeah, I do. Obviously, some people don't. Who cares? None of them are good enough to be the franchise quarterback.
Agreed.
That's it.
Toasty, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Thanksgiving was kind of brutal. Had a party at my cousin's house. They're Cowboys fans. All I said was Titanic wasn't released the last time they won a Super Bowl. Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, you are right. I mean, don't expect them to win a Super Bowl this year either. Who was it? Ralph. What the hell's Ralph's last name?
Vacchiano.
He put on there, he goes, I can't wait to watch that Eagles Cowboys NFC Championship game. I threw up in my mouth when I read it. I don't ever want to see that because that means one of them has to go to the Super Bowl. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I hope San Francisco knocks them both the hell out of the damn playoffs.
I'm not worried about Dallas. I'm not worried about Dallas. Dallas, I've said it before. They're the Miami Dolphins of the NFC. They destroy bad teams.
They do.
And they can't beat good ones, much like Miami. They have Dallas this year has 7 20-point wins.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah, I played it really easy.
There were 2 who were against us, 1 against Washington. They beat Carolina. Like, they've beaten all awful teams.
Yeah, they beat really bad teams.
And then when they go up in weight class, they get smacked. They got
Arizona somehow got away with a win against them.
But they kill great teams, horrible teams, and they lose to good teams.
We'll see what they do against the Eagles in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That'll be a test for them, without question. Chris, thank you for the super chat. Who do you blame for the failures? You can't put it on one person. It's everybody, the entire team. It's the entire team. Who do I blame the most?
For the O-line failures? Is that the question, Chris?
No, I didn't even see O-line failures.
I mean, I think Andrew Thomas's injury is the biggest contributing factor, but I'm not going to blame Andrew Thomas for getting hurt.
Coaching, man. I think
but the coaching. I think the coaching is the biggest thing. But obviously, Thomas going down made this offensive line look even worse than it is.
Yeah, without question. I mean, without question, you lose your best lineman and your quarterback's blindside protector.
Your only good lineman.
It's not the same. Yeah, you're only proven lineman. I think JMS can be good.
Yeah.
I also don't know why Glowinski wasn't playing. I think Glowinski really played well his 2 games before they benched him. But that's what it is. Lou, thank you for the super chat. He says, speaking of AT, why risk further injury? I agree. He should just sit. He's a sprained MCL. I'm not risking him. No way. You don't. I mentioned that on Twitter too. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on with I feel like they've totally mismanaged injuries this year, Chris. I mean, on all fronts. I feel like they've totally messed this up. Andrew Thomas, I said, had a hamstring injury. He's out for 7 weeks. Now he's playing with a sprained MCL. Why? You don't want him to tear his knee up and then he's out for the next season?
Makes no sense.
Especially if you go out and get a rookie quarterback. You really want that guy on the shelf?
I'm not for tanking, and I know the Giants are not going to tank. But we're in a position now where these guys should not be playing unless they're 100%.
Correct.
Like, I don't want to see Darren Waller out there unless he's 100%. Same thing with Andrew Thomas.
Or Barkley or whoever.
Yeah, I want them to play if they are 100%. But and from the sound of it, Andrew Thomas is not. So
yeah, I don't want him out there.
He should not be out there.
I agree. Completely agree, quite frankly. Chubby, watch your back. Shutterhead, Shutterhead, you're the man because I told you when you were in the Lakers stream, I know you were about 12 beers deep, but I did put money on the Packers.
I can't believe they won.
I took money on the Packers straight up because of you. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. I even told my wife we were watching this. We were watching the game yesterday. I go, this guy, Cheddarhead, he's a Clipper fan. He's in my Lakers stream all the time. He's a Packer fan. And he's like, bet your kids' tuition on the Packers. I'm like, I'm not going to bet that much because I'm not a big bettor. But like he was saying it all night. He's like, the Packers are going to win. The Packers are going to win. I put this on the Packers. I put it on the Packers. I'm like, you're convincing me to put some money on the Packers. So I put some money on the Packers.
I thought it was going to be a very close game because the Lions didn't look good the week before and the Packers did. So, but I was still stunned that the Packers won, especially the way in which they did.
He did.
That game wasn't competitive.
All night he kept doing it. I'm like, how many beers have you had? He goes, I might be 12 in, but I bet the Packers. He convinced me to bet the Packers. So thank you, Cheddar. I appreciate that. Not that I want to I don't bet a lot of money. I do it for entertainment. I don't do it to win monies, but that was pretty good. Chris, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, tell me a quarterback that's really good in the NFL that has slow processing speed. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to look at all of them, and I really don't pay much attention to the process.
I mean, who knows? It's hard to judge because a lot of these quarterbacks have that extra quarter of a second means
everything.
The world to the quarterback. So let's find out. Let's put some of these quarterbacks on this team with this horrible line, and I guess we'd find out. But yes, of course, that's a big thing in the NFL. Guys that are not processing speed, being able. The other thing with DJ that you don't see near enough of, and I said this before last year started, and I was hoping he was growing as a quarterback based off last year. When things break down, and this is what I love about Caleb Williams and Drake May. We saw it last week too on that one play, but really Caleb Williams, it really stands out. When things break down, he doesn't have that improbability. He doesn't have that ability. He just looks to either get rid of the ball or look for the quick 4-yard pass. He doesn't, look down the field. You don't see it enough. And you look at the elite quarterbacks in this league, the Josh Allens, the Justin Herbert, the Pat Mahomes, they're always looking downfield when plays break down, when they escape the pocket and their wide receivers have opportunities to break their routes. You don't see Daniel Jones do that near enough.
Yeah, the improvisation is something that that's an intangible he doesn't have. He doesn't improvise.
Yeah.
And guys like Caleb Williams, guys like the guys that are going to go at the top of this draft, they do have that skill. Bo Nix threw an interception for you paying attention to Bo Nix. I don't like Bo Nix, but I know some Giants fans like Bo Nix. But yeah, he doesn't have that skill. That's just not something that's there. Like you said, I think when something breaks down, I feel like he panics and he goes down. I mean, even last year, I felt like I felt like he felt the rush better last year and got out of the pocket and made those throws better last year. I don't know what the hell happened this year. I really don't.
I've seen Sherlock Holmes ask the question like 8 times, so I'm just going to answer it. He keeps saying, so why did they give him $80 million? Why did they give him $80 million? Why did they We've been over this topic a billion times.
Yeah.
Why did they give him $80 million? Simple. The going rate for a franchise quarterback is about triple that in today's day and age. Look at the guaranteed money these guys are getting. So the Giants were in a really tough situation where they could only franchise tag one player. And it's not often where your franchise altering running back and a guy that is your starting quarterback who has to come back as the start of the next year hit free agent in the same season. They could only use the tag on one. They went to Saquon Barkley first. They tried to sign him so they could use the tag on Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley didn't sign the contract. So as the deadline approached, they said, well, we're going to bring both back. We have to. We won a playoff game last year. We can't just tank. And it's going to be a lot easier to build this year's team if we only have to spend $10 million on a franchise tag for a running back. Yeah. That's what happened. So the Giants said, we're going to give him a deal where we could get out of it after 2 years if this were to happen, or he could continue to grow and this team could get better, and we'll see what we got in 2 years, and we'll discuss if we want to move forward with him after that.
Yep.
That's what happened.
Yep. That's exactly. You nailed it. I can't say it any better. That's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. They were in a precarious position. If Daniel Jones would have been bad last year, Daniel Jones had the year he's having this year in 2022. Giants would have had a new quarterback without question. Yeah. They might have ended up with CJ Stroud. You don't know. I mean, it's very possible they could have ended up with him. They could have ended up. Well, I don't know if they would have ended up with Bryce Young because the Panthers traded up to get him, but the Giants would have been in the market for a quarterback going into 2023 had Jones got hurt, torn his ACL, had the neck, and the Giants were 3-8. There's not a doubt in my mind Jones ain't coming back here, but because they went 9-7-1, because they got into the postseason, because they won their first playoff game in the last 10 years, and they were drafting 25th, what were they going to do? You're not going to draft the quarterback. who the hell are they going to sign? It was like, oh, they could have just went out and got a stopgap. They could have got Marcus Mariota or Baker Mayfield. How are you going to sell a fan base on, we won a playoff game, and now we're going to get Baker? Like, what are you doing there? Because you're not moving
and obviously now
Baker.
hindsight's 2020. Hindsight's now 2020. First off, whenever anybody gives me an answer like that, I say, name me a time in the history of the NFL that a team won a playoff game that they didn't, and they had a young quarterback that they did not replace him with either a significant upgrade at the quarterback position or through the draft. Name me a time where they brought in a franchise journeyman like a Marcus Mariota or replace him with Tyler. Like, that was not a realistic alternative. There was no Peyton Manning out there like there was when they replaced Tim Tebow. That was not a possibility. That was not there. So we all knew he was coming back. That's just the reality of the situation. And the Giants did what, I still understand why they did what they did. It didn't work out. You move on. You draft a quarterback. It's not like it's preventing them from drafting a quarterback. It hurts the cap space for 1 year when you're starting a rookie quarterback anyway. Like, raise your hand if you expect your team to compete for a Super Bowl when you're starting a rookie quarterback in his first year. So at the end of the day, who cares if we have a $30 or $40 million of cap space next year? We're not going to be very good anyway if we're starting a rookie quarterback. Yeah. So it is what it is. It didn't work out. Move on.
Facts. Bobby! Hey, everybody in the chat. Say hi to Bobby. Bobby! Mr. Softy I wasn't around because it's cold now. Mr. Softy. Well, welcome back to the Dog Pound, brother. Appreciate having you back. Dog Pound members, welcome to our guy, Bobby. Who into the Dog Pound. What am I doing? Why am I making my own noises? But thank you, Bobby. Appreciate it. Toasty, thank you for the super chat. For me, the Jet game was a dagger. 2 losses by 1 yard. Yeah, I mean, again, same thing. You go back and you win the Jet game and you win the Buffalo game. Things are completely different. They should have beat the Jets.
Well, yeah, but all right. I see Nick Foles was a journeyman who won a Super Bowl, but they didn't start the year with Nick Foles at quarterback. Nick Foles
was a backup.
Nick Foles got inserted into the lineup because Carson Wentz got hurt.
Right.
That's not a good example. I'm saying a guy that was replaced after the season ended. There was a young quarterback that won a playoff game. That it was not via the draft because we didn't have an option to do it in the draft last year, or a clear upgrade at the quarterback position. Name me one time in the history of the NFL that's happened, unless the guy got hurt.
Nick Foles is a backup. They had just drafted Carson Wentz was in his second.
Carson Wentz was the starter. Yeah, Carson Wentz
he was in their second. He was in their second.
As a matter of fact, Carson Wentz was the starter the next year after they won the Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. That was only Carson Wentz's third year. The next year, his second year was when they went to the Super Bowl. And he would have won the MVP had he not torn his ACL that year.
Yeah,
he was going to win the MVP that year without question.
Yeah,
he had 32 touchdowns in 12 games. He was great.
Yeah.
He never recovered. Another reason why the Giants need to look at a quarterback. Daniel Jones, one of his best assets is his legs. When you tear an ACL, it's usually not 100% ever again. You're not going to run the way you used to. I don't even think Barkley has the explosiveness he had before he tore his ACL. You see flashes of it, but it's not that straight on speed. That 2018 Barkley, that's not there.
It seems like that's another popular thing I've seen and I'm the biggest Barkley fan in the world. That seems like that's another popular thing on Twitter this week. All of a sudden, everybody's like getting behind. We need to sign Barkley. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people. We need to sign Barkley to a multi-year extension because you see how important he is in this offense. And I was pounding the table to sign Barkley to what I thought was, and I think ultimately that's what Shane was trying to do, and Barkley didn't want to sign for that type of deal, but I wanted them to sign him to like a $22-24 million guaranteed type deal going into this year. But my question for those people that think they need to sign Barkley and they're going to sign Barkley to like a big extension, if you're Shane, if you didn't value Saquon Barkley as a $24 to $26 million guaranteed running back last year, when he was an MVP candidate for the first 10 weeks of the season, played a full year, didn't get hurt. You made the playoffs, so there was more pressure to continue to build with the team you had. And he was a year younger. Why in the world would he sign him to the extension this year when he's a year older? He got hurt again. The team's a mess. I don't see it. I think they will probably tag him, or he'll have to sign a deal that's less than what he wants. But I don't see them giving him $26 million guaranteed. I don't see it.
Listen, I love Saquon. There's no question. I wanted the Giants to draft Saquon. I was happy when they did it. I don't buy many jerseys. I have that when I have a color rush Saquon. But again, I just look at that's a luxury position. I know he's important. I know he's a leader. He is truly a captain. The Giants have 10 of them. I would consider Barkley a real captain. Okay. He obviously is a high character guy. He's a great teammate. He's a great running back. But again, he's been here for 6 years now, and this team does nothing with him here. The offense, especially since Daniel Jones has been here, has just been one of the worst in the NFL. Yeah. You could say, well, he's been injured, but that's part of it. I mean, that's part of the problem is that he can't stay healthy. So do you really want to give that guy, like Chris said, 2 years, $26 million? Do you want to give him 3 years? It's hard for me. Again, I look at it this way, man. When you're the general manager, you do not have, you can't have an emotional attachment to players. Like John Mara, I think, does. I think John Mara, to a fault, is too loyal.
Not just players, general managers. Well, not in recent history, but head coaches.
But you can't.
Yeah.
You can't be emotionally attached. It's a business.
Yeah.
You got to win games. That's your job.
Yeah.
You can't be like, well, Daniel Jones and Saquon are great guys. They're high character guys. They're good personality. They're not troublemakers. They say all the right things. They do all the right things. They work their ass off, and they're great for morale. And I get it. But at the end of the day, that doesn't win any football games. What are these guys doing? They spend more time on the sidelines than they do in between in the lines, and they're not winning any games.
Yeah.
Everybody complains about the old line, but they want to give Barkley all that money. So I've said this before. Put the money in front of the quarterback, not behind him. You want to win football games, put the money in front of the quarterback, not behind him. Because I don't care who your running back is. Yeah, it's nice to have a Barkley. But if your offensive line is opening up holes, is Brian Robinson, is he as talented as Barkley? No. But you get a good offensive line in front of a guy like Brian Robinson, that's going to be an effective running game.
Yeah.
Without question. So that's my whole thing about it. If you really want to build an offensive line, you can't be putting $14 million or $13 million a year into a running back.
I think he'll be back, but I think it'll be either a tag again or he's going to work out a cheaper deal than people think. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be what people think he's going to get.
What's the tag this year? $12 million?
It'll be 12 because he's got to get, I think, a 20% increase on what he got this year. But it's only a 1 year commitment,
Right. So, so maybe they give him 2 years, $24 million then.
Yeah, with not maybe like 18 guaranteed. Like I don't think let's put it this way. I think it'll be a deal where they could get out of after next year if things go.
Yeah, well, it won't be an extended deal. It won't be a big deal.
Yeah.
If they do that.
Yeah.
Or like you mentioned this maybe a couple of weeks ago. Maybe they just say, listen, we love you. We want you to come back, but we're not going to offer you any kind of money. Hit the free agent market and see what you can get.
Yeah.
We'll let you test free agency.
Yeah.
We're going to offer you 2 years, 24 million, 18 million guaranteed. That's what we're giving you. If you can get a better deal, somebody else wants to give you 3 years, 40 million with 25 million guaranteed.
Good luck. We love you. You've been a true Giant through and through, but it just doesn't make sense for us right now.
If that's better for you, Barkley, then you we want what's best for you. Oops, I didn't get Bobby. Hey, Baddog and Chris, my friends, I am back. Speaking of being back, there's Bobby. He's back.
What's up, Bobby?
Good to have you back, Bobby. Yeah, good to have Bobby back.
Good to see you, Bobby.
We love Bobby. Tommy B, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, if Barkley gets tagged the second time, can he hold out a number of games next year and still get credit for the year? His leverage is becoming a free agent. I don't know how that works. That's something to ask Patty.
Well, you still miss. You still don't get paid, I think.
Yeah, if he holds out, you don't get paid.
You don't get paid for the games you don't play.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how that works, Tommy. But I know that by a certain week, you have to start playing. Otherwise, you have to sit out the year. I know that. But
yeah.
I don't.
Maybe that's what he was asking then.
Yeah, but I don't think you get the full contract if you miss games.
No, it's like a per diem. You're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
That's why we kind of figured Barkley was not going to. I thought he'd hold out. Well,
I thought he was going to miss camp. Yeah.
In week one, I thought he'd show up right before the season started so he'd get paid and missed the first week. That was his leverage last year, but they worked something out and he came back. I I could see him doing that this year. But if he would have missed, if he would not have signed the tag by the time game 1 rolled around, he don't get paid for it.
Yeah.
So if he misses time, if he holds out, he ain't getting his money.
Yeah, he would miss out on, if he's getting $10 million, that's like what, like $700,000 a game or something like that. Yeah.
Toasty, can you imagine that $700,000 a week?
That'd be nice.
It's good work if you can get it right there. Toasty, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, name a player to win a Super Bowl with the Giants and with Philly. There's got to be somebody on 2000.
Recent history. It's got to be.
I saw the answer because I scrolled down by mistake.
So Philly.
You're not going to get it.
Is it like a backup or something?
It's impossible. I'll get to it when I get down there. Don't hurt your brain. You're not going to get it. I saw it. I'm like, I would have never got that.
Yeah.
Alien, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, hey, what up, guys? The next 3 games are winnable games. I don't think we're beating the Packers.
Who do we have? Is it the Rams? No, the Rams are sandwiched in between.
We have the Patriots, the Packers, and then we have the bye, and then we have the Packers off the bye, and then we have I think the Rams or the Rams are between.
I thought the Rams were sandwiched in between the 2 Eagles games.
It might be the Saints.
It is the Saints. I don't think that's a winnable game, to be honest with you.
I don't think it is.
In New Orleans, I don't think we're winning that game.
I don't think we're beating Green Bay either.
Probably not. They look good. They look good. Yeah.
So I don't expect to beat them. Would you guys just prefer to tank it out or win the next 3 games going to the Eagles 6-8 with a long shot at the playoffs? We
have no shot at the playoffs. We have no shot.
We were discussing this earlier. I can't openly root against the Giants. It's just not in my DNA. But I definitely see, I don't know what the word I'm trying to look for. The advantage of losing the games. I certainly see the advantage of tanking. The thought behind tanking.
I'm not going to root for it, but I see the silver lining if we lose the next 3 games. Right. Let's put it that way. But I'm not going to root for it.
Right. I'm not going to go into that. Like I said, I'm not going to sit there and go Patriots score touchdown. We're like, all right. Yeah. Chris ain't going to be like, stand up, Giants fans. Patriots score. Like, that's not going to happen.
No.
But if they lose, I'm not going to sit here and throw a fit about it.
Yeah.
If they win, I'm not going to sit here and throw a fit about it. I'm going to enjoy, like I said, at this time of the year, for me, when I'm looking at, I'm just looking at player performances. Like, I want to see how many sacks Kayvon Thibodeau can get. Okay. I want to see what Tommy D can do. I'm rooting for Tommy D. I like Tommy DeVito. It's a nice story. He's an Italian guy from New Jersey. If you're me and Chris, how the hell do you not root for
Well, probably like 50% of New Yorkers are Italian.
Right. Like, so how the hell do we all landed here? How do you know? And he's an underdog. The guy was undrafted. It's funny. I was on Twitter and I didn't even know he was on like Good Morning Football day 3 of the draft. They were asking him about, what's the spread like at your house? They were talking about that stuff. He's like, we might have got a few tables of food. But he didn't know if he was going to get drafted that day. It was day 3 of the draft. And I'm thinking, he doesn't know where he's going. And he's talking about Devin Witherspoon, his teammate, because he went 5th and all this stuff. And they're asking him how he went from Cuse and he balled out at Illinois. And I was just watching and going, God, I'm just thinking about where he was then and where he is now. Like, there's no way he's sitting there thinking to myself, I'm going to be starting in the NFL by the middle of November.
Yeah. And Baddog, I'm not going to. I don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback, but you never know. You never know. People were saying the same thing about Tony Romo, I promise you, after his first or second start with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
He was an undrafted guy, and I'm not expecting it. I still want to draft the quarterback, but you never know. So it's fun. Let's see where the story takes us.
And you have Brock Purdy. Who the hell drafts Brock Purdy 262nd goes? That guy's going to lead us to a Super Bowl.
You never know.
You don't ever know. We'll see what time. That's what I'm saying. I'm just looking for player performances at this point. The young guys.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Thibodeau. It's his second year. I don't know if Evan Neal is going to play again. I don't know, but I want to watch Evan Neal. I want to watch Deontay Banks. I want to watch Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
I want to watch Tommy DeVito. I want to watch John Michael Schmitz. I want to watch Micah McFadden. I want to watch the young guys that Shane drafted. I want to see how they play. I want to see how they develop. I'm not worried about what Sterling Shepard does. I'm not worried about what Paris Campbell does. I'm not worried about what Isaiah Hodgins does or Darius Slayton. I don't expect those guys to be here. I just don't. I don't think they'll be around. And we know what they are. So there's really no surprise. mean, you're 3-8. I think you look at player performances, and that's kind of where I am right now. For me, anyway. I'm not looking at look at Justin Pugh. Like I'm not looking to see how he plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know how Justin Pugh plays. Been in the league a long time. Toasty, thank you for the super chat. There you go. There you go, Chris. The answer is Will Beatty.
Oh, Will Beatty. Wow, I would have never gotten that.
Yeah, that's why I said you would never. I saw it, and I'm like, don't hurt your head. You're not getting that.
Yeah,
I would have not in a million years would I have gotten that one.
I'm gonna have to come up with some questions for Toasty because some of these questions it's not even possible to answer. So
I
gotta come up with some for him.
That was impossible, without question. That one, not gonna win that one there. Irish Rover, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate it. Says, did you guys pick up on Daboll's comment about DeVito being instinctive? That it can't be taught. My first thought was he never said that about DJ. I don't think Daboll was 100% on board with Jones. Chris, you can start because I could talk about this for 10 minutes. So I'll let you go.
I mean, I don't think either Shane or Daboll was 100% on with Jones in terms of blind faith for the foreseeable future. I think they were 100% on board with Jones for this year and see what happens. That was it. I think they saw enough from him last year where they saw that he was a guy that he limited mistakes. He had the lowest interception percentage in football last year. He took what they wanted him to do in the game plan and he maximized it. So they said, okay, let's see if he could grow when we get a little bit more help around him. We hope Evan Neal gets better and we're going to put more on his plate. And he failed. He didn't grow further as a quarterback. So yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like they were completely on board with Jones for this year. Obviously, they gave him that money for a reason. And I don't think the plan was to move off of Jones after this year, unless it was something catastrophic like what has happened. But long term, I don't think they had blind faith in Daniel Jones. If they had blind faith in Daniel Jones, he would have gotten the same contract that Joe Burrow got, the same contract that Jalen Hurts got. Those are franchise quarterback contracts when you're getting $250 million guaranteed.
Listen, Herbert.
Yeah, Herbert. They didn't give him that. They said, all right, we're going to give you a couple of years. We'll see if you can get better as the team around you gets better. And if you do, well, then we'll start to talk a contract like that. So that's where I think they were at with Daniel Jones.
I think Daboll sees that Jones is an instinctive. Again, I'm a fan, and I noticed this. Okay, I'm certainly not an expert. don't claim to be anything but a fan. That's all I am. My credentials are 40 years of watching the Giants. Those are my credentials. Okay, 40 years of watching football. Those are my credentials. I can't tell you all the routes that they run and all this other these complex of defensive schemes. I can't tell you what they're doing out there. I can't break down all 22 film. I'm not going to try. That's not what I do. But I can definitely look, and my eyes are going to tell me something I see. Carl Banks actually said on Twitter, I'm not going to get in an argument about what you see and what I see. I can't tell you what you see. Like there's no argument. You can't argue because somebody's going to see something a different way. But I think the fact that Daboll does not call Daniel Jones instinctive tells you that he's not. I think that a head coach would know he's not.
Yeah.
I've said since week 1, when he left Daniel Jones in against Dallas, I just in the beginning of the year, when he did that, I thought to myself, why are you doing this? Oh, we wanted to score points. That's why. Bullshit. Because you had all of the backups. You had your backup lineman in there and Evan Neal. You had your backup receivers. Dallas had their third string guys in there. If you want Daniel Jones to go out and score, why isn't Jalen Hyatt in the game? Why aren't your starters in there? Why aren't you trying to get a meaningless stuff for whatever reason? 40-7, 40-0. It's the same thing. You got your breaks beat off.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that he left him in there against Dallas, the fact that he left him in there against Seattle, when there was nothing to play for, and he got wrecked in those 2 games, I immediately started thinking, I don't think he cares about Daniel Jones. It doesn't make any sense. It's not his guy. If it was his guy, he'd be protecting him. He's been throwing him out there to the wolves. Then I'm not going to sit there and go, that's tough love. I just don't think he is. I think he's like, whatever. I don't believe in this guy. I don't really want this guy. I think we had to sign him back. Man, they didn't draft him. He was the quarterback when they got there.
Yeah.
And as Chris mentioned, what other choice did they have?
Yeah.
They did everything that they could. Let's give him a deal. He'll give him mid-range guaranteed money. Okay. And people can bring up the contract about how much he makes next year and all this other stuff. Well, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
When you run in there thinking to yourself, if the worst case happens, which is what's happened this year, we're out after 2024.
Yeah.
And if he continues to progress and the Giants continue to get better and we continue to go at this rate, we have a bargain in years 3 and 4.
Yeah, and then the other thing I think you have to consider, if you're at least thinking from the mindset of Joe Schoen, is, and of course now hindsight 2020.
Yeah,
we see that Daniel Jones bombed this year, but Joe Schoen didn't have that hindsight before he signed him.
Right.
Let's say he doesn't sign Jones. You're not in a position to draft a quarterback. You sign Marcus Mariota, like people have said, or you start Tyrod Taylor. And let's say Jones goes to a good situation. Let's say he signed on with the Saints. Let's say he signed on with Washington, whose offense is playing well this year now that they got Bieniemy, right? And he looks at least pretty good, and your team completely bombs. You don't look good if you're Joe Schoen. So I just think he was stuck. He had to bring him back. He didn't really have a choice. I think the only reasonable argument you can make is he should have tagged him. But I think if you're being fair, you could at least see why it was reasonable to tag Barkley instead and sign Jones to the type of deal that they did. It didn't work.
Yeah, Jones's cap hit would have been it was three times as much as Saquon's, and you can't maneuver that. When you sign a deal, you can maneuver it. The Giants barely had any money to field a team this year. They had to do that, but there's a reason that they did go in there and try to get Barkley to sign, and because Barkley didn't, like everybody wants to say, and I'm not trying to knock Barkley here. If Barkley signs a contract, we're not in this situation with Daniel Jones, because they probably do tag Daniel Jones, and they probably don't give him even as much money if they would
have tagged Jones if Barkley wasn't here,
right? Because the thing of it is, Jones had them, and he had the advantage.
Yeah,
Barkley's not signed, so what are they going to do? They can't tag me because otherwise, they can't tag Barkley. So I have all the advantage. Either they tag me and Barkley walks, or they tag Barkley and I walk. What are they going to do? And it was a last second deal I got done with Daniel Jones, but I feel like they did it every way, whatever they could. And again, to go back to your point, Irish, if they were 100% on Daniel Jones immediately, they would have picked up the fifth-year option and paid $22 million.
Yeah, that too, of course.
Hindsight being 2020, that's obviously the move that was supposed to be made. Okay, hindsight being 2020, but it don't matter, Chris, because
no one would have done it. So
I know that's what I'm saying, but that just tells you he was not their guy. If he was, they would go give him the $22 million. We'll pay $22 million to Daniel Jones. We think he's a franchise quarterback. There's no question.
Yeah.
So I agree. I don't ever think he was their guy, and I still don't think he's their guy. I think they want their guy, and their guy is a Josh Allen type of guy. That's why Josh Allen was there in Buffalo. That's why Buffalo, didn't they trade up to get Josh Allen?
They jumped to 7 to get him.
There's a reason they wanted Josh Allen.
I can't believe the Knicks won. I haven't been watching the game. They were down 20 points when I went. They were down. I think they were down like 88-68 or something like that. I can't believe they won. I can't believe they won.
Somebody asked me about the Knicks the other night, and I tell them, I'm like, do you know what the Knicks are? The Knicks are the Lakers without the talent. They play this same basketball. It's unbelievable. The Lakers the other night, they were down 20 points to the Mavericks going to the fourth quarter. Came all the way back, took a 1-point lead with about a minute to go. They had the ball. LeBron missed a 3. I'm sorry, they had a 2-point lead. LeBron missed a 3 like 40 seconds ago. Kyrie came down, hit a 3. Then the Lakers missed 4 free throws down the stretch. Then LeBron turned the ball over. Then LeBron missed a 3 at the end of the game. They lost by 3. That's what happened. The Knicks do the same type of thing. They don't have the talent of the Lakers.
Yeah.
They don't have LeBron. They don't have Anthony Davis. They need one of those guys. Well, not particularly those players, but
they need one more star. They need one more star.
They need an upgrade over Julius Randle.
Yeah.
They need an upgrade there.
But nice win tonight. And I don't know how the standings work for the in-season tournament, but they're 2-1 in that. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know. They have to win their grouping, I guess. And then That comes soon because there's no like basketball that counts from the 3rd until the 9th. I think.
So how does that work now? I know 8 teams make it. It's the 6 division winners and then the 2 best records. But those games go against your regular season record, right?
Nope.
So wait a second.
The in-season tournament there's going to be 3 rounds. Okay, December 4th they play, then they advance to the semifinals, which is played December 7th, and then they
so wait, there's going to be no NBA basketball played during that time?
No NBA basketball from the 3rd of December until the 12th of December.
And it's single elimination.
Correct.
I hate that. Correct. I mean, I get it that it makes it more interesting for teams, for fans of teams that are not good. Like I think the Pacers are going to make it. I think I saw, and I hate that. Like it completely disrupts the flow of the season. And if I'm a fan of one of those, I don't want the Knicks to make it because that's
because you don't want them to get hurt.
That's 3 more games they're going to have to play.
Agreed. The Lakers are already there. They're 4. They won their group.
I don't want the Knicks to make it. I hate that.
The players that win, they get $500,000.
Yeah.
So they're going to.
I hope the Knicks do not make that.
But
I didn't realize that those games didn't go towards
the group games counted.
I know they counted.
The playoffs of the play-in tournament do not.
That sucks. At the end of the season, I mean, I know what they'll do. It's just going to hurt the product because then they're going to sit these guys, a few extra games this year, and everybody will be complaining about, it's I don't like it. I don't like that idea. Do that in the off season.
Yeah,
don't do it in the middle of the regular season.
I don't like it either. I never understood the point.
Do it in the summer.
Yeah, I
don't like that.
They know they wouldn't get their stars during the summer, so nobody would watch.
That's true.
Well, that's really what it is.
No.
Chris, thank you for the super chat. He says, "Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Happy Thanksgiving to you, buddy. Which New York Giant from past to present would you want to be your guest for Thanksgiving?" Eli Manning.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to you, Chris, man. Always appreciate the support. And I think it's Eli Manning for me as well. How could it not be? I love Eli. I was going to say an offensive lineman, but he would probably eat the whole turkey. So
right.
I think I'll go with Eli. For sure.
I just think Eli, I don't know. Like, obviously, Lawrence Sale is my favorite player. I just don't know how good of a dinner guest LT would be. I feel like Eli would be a damn good because Eli is funny as shit. And I think
you could just he's a guy that is going to be easy to get along with. He's not going to offend anybody.
Right.
You go with Eli. Eli.
Yeah, I think you got to go with Eli. Giants realist, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Says the people that want DJ and Saquon back are emotionally attached, and putting those players' interest above the team's interest. You have to be cold-blooded. His name is Giants realist, and that is a very real take, and that is the way I am, and I agree with you. I think what happens today is the Giants have done so much losing that a lot of the younger fan base doesn't know what it is to win, so they just get attached to players and not attached to winning football. They don't know what winning football is. Guys like me that have seen 4 decades of Giants football and have seen 4 championships. Like, the grocery store the other day, and I couldn't find my Giants hat, so I put my Yankee hat on. But even at the grocery store, the other day, a kid says to me, he goes, "Oh, man, the Giants have had a rough year." And I said, "They've had a rough decade." And he was young kid. He was probably in high school. I said, "But luckily for me, I mean, I'm old enough to have seen them win 4 championships. I mean, so I've been there. I've seen this team be really good for long stretches."
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't get attached to players. And I've seen the greatest players in Giants history come through this organization and retire. Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan, Eli Manning, right? They were all integral in Super Bowl victories. They were all the greatest at their positions as far as the Giants go. LT is the greatest defensive player in the history of football. Michael Strahan's our best defensive end, not close. And Eli's our best quarterback ever, not close. I've watched those guys come and go. If I can watch them come and go, and I didn't have a choice because they retired, and everybody retires. Nobody's a Giant forever. I mean, they say once a Giant, always a Giant. I get that, but literally, you're not wearing the uniform for the rest of your life. I don't get attached to players. That's why when Odell Beckham left, I'm like, you know what? It was better for the Giants. Didn't end up being better for the Giants. They ended up with Dexter Lawrence, so maybe it did end up being better.
It did. They still won the trade. They just didn't replace Odell Beckham.
Right.
So he won the trade, but we still
But I
lost.
wasn't upset about it, Chris. I didn't get all I didn't get all of my feelings because they let Odell Beckham go. Some people did. And I think it's because that's the only excitement some Giants fans know. And I think that's part of it with Saquon. He's the only excitement that they know because there is no excitement here because this team has been shit for a decade.
Yeah, I think the reason that we wanted Jones back the last 2 years is because there was not a better alternative. Now that there's a better alternative, we didn't expect there would be this year. We didn't think we'd be picking top 3. No. But whatever we're going to be picking, you can't, like you said, you can't get attached to players. Like, I love these guys. I do think Barkley will be back, but I think he'll be responsible. It'll be a very short commitment. Yeah. You have to think about what's best for the team. I mean, well, as a fan, you don't have to, but you can't get mad at the general manager for trying to do what's best for the team long term. So, and if you're being honest with yourself, if you're a fan from the outside looking in, if the Jets were in the same exact situation the Giants are in right now, and you're a Giants fan, you'd be a fool. You'd be lying to yourself if you said to yourself, "Oh, they should move on from the quarterback. They should be like he's absolutely right." Fans that want to hold on to Daniel Jones at this point are too emotionally attached. That's the truth.
Yeah, I think it is because they haven't won anything. Last year, I understand people wanting to hang on to Daniel Jones because it was a massive leap. There was improvement, right? There was no regression. They went up as a team. They went up, and it looked like
he played well last year.
Right. So you take Daniel Jones, take Saquon, you bring him back in the same system, and you're thinking this team. You didn't. I mean, nobody expected them to win the Super Bowl. Chris and I were going, hey, we're going to win 13 games, go to the Super Bowl. We kind of figured 8 or 9 wins is probably where they're going to be because their schedule was tougher. But we expected them to compete. We expected them to be better as a football team. You're going to play better competition. Didn't expect them to beat Dallas both games. Didn't expect them to beat Philly one game. We haven't even played them yet. Didn't expect them to beat San Francisco. Didn't expect them to beat Buffalo. I didn't expect them to beat Miami, but I expected them to beat Seattle. I expected them to beat the Jets. You know what I mean? I expected them to be able to beat those teams. The Raiders. You know what I mean? And granted, we had some things go against us there, but I thought the Giants were going to be good enough.
Sherlock Holmes keeps throwing out the 15 touchdowns last year. Daniel Jones last year had the lowest interception percentage in football. He, as a starting quarterback with a team that nobody thought was going to sniff the playoffs, he went 9-6-1. And if you include his rushing touchdowns, he had 22 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He played well last year. He did. Whether you may not want to admit that, he had a good year last year. Nobody's saying he was incredible last year. Nobody's saying he was an MVP. He played well last year. To get that team to the playoffs, and he plays the most important position, he had a good year. He absolutely had a good year.
Yeah, everybody wants to dismiss the 700 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. And the fact that he was throwing to Richie James and Kadarius Toney. Well, Kadarius Toney wasn't there last year, but he was throwing to look at what Mahomes has those guys now. Yeah. They ain't very good. You know, Marcus Johnson, where's he these days? You know, what's David Sills doing right now? Those are the guys he was throwing to. So he did. He had a nice year last year. He got paid because of it. Nobody confusing him with Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow. Nobody's confusing him with those guys. Nobody's confusing him with an explosive elite quarterback, but he was good enough. You know,
he played well last year. He played good.
Yeah, he did.
He had a good year.
Stats tell half the story. Say it all the time. Sam Howell leads the league in passing yards. Is he really any good? No, he's not. You know, I've said this on Twitter. You know who Sam Howell is? He's Daniel Jones. He's Daniel Jones. Chris, Sam Howell has 18 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, leads the league in interceptions. A lot of his yards are in garbage time, and they're getting blown out. There are a lot of screen passes that go for a lot of yards. 18 touchdowns, 13 interceptions.
Daniel Jones' rookie year is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
In 3 games.
Empty stats. 10
touchdowns and 1 interception in 3 games.
Yeah.
The other 9 games or whatever they played, 8 touchdowns, 12 picks. Daniel Jones, his rookie season, 13 touchdowns, no picks in 3 games. 11 touchdowns, 12 interceptions in the other games. That, Washington fans may not want to hear that, but when I watch him play, it reminds me a lot of Daniel Jones. There's a lot of Daniel Jones there. There really is.
And he might get better. He's still young.
He could get better, absolutely. But The rookie seasons are very comparable. They're very comparable. And I understand why Washington fans are high on him, because watching Daniel Jones play his rookie season, I was high on him going, we see what he can be.
Yeah.
They just they never were able to figure it out. But also, you look at Sam Howell, he's going to lose everybody next year. Ron Rivera ain't going to be there next year. They've already fired.
I've been saying it now for weeks.
The enemy becomes the
That's what I think is going to happen. I think the enemy becomes.
But he still call the plays?
At that point, I think he does, yeah. I think it would be like when we hired McAdoo. McAdoo was still calling the plays, right?
And Eli's production dipped.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I'm telling you, they're very similar.
Yeah.
Now, maybe Howell's trajectory goes the other. And the other thing is, Howell was a 5th-round pick?
Something like that, 4th or 5th round, yeah.
There's the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Jones was a 6th overall pick. Howell was a 5th round pick.
Yeah, Howell's one bad year next year away from being replaced.
Correct.
Like, you could easily move off of him. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. There's flashes there, but he's extremely inconsistent. Now he's a rookie, and we'll see what he does. But you can't lose at the Giants twice if you're Sam Howell. Like, that you cannot lose to the Giants.
Especially with Tommy DeVito at quarterback.
Especially the way the defense have played. Like, you cannot turn the ball over 6 times. You cannot do that. He's got one touchdown and 4 interceptions against the Giants, or no touchdowns and 4 interceptions against we own him.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Chris, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Do you think Daboll wants Jones to fail so he can get his own guy?
No.
I don't think he wants Jones to fail, because I think he wants to win football games. But I think at this point in the year, I think that Daboll and Shane are looking at somehow getting a quarterback.
They're definitely looking at quarterbacks. But I don't think he went into the year being like, I want Jones to fail so I can get my quarterback. If they went into the year just thinking, I want to be able to get my quarterback, they wouldn't have paid Daniel Jones $80 million guaranteed. They would have just been like, let's start Tyrod Taylor and tank. Like, that's what they would have done. Why would you waste cap space of the 2024 season like they did by signing Daniel Jones? So, no, I don't think he went into the year being like, I need Daniel Jones to fail so I can get my quarterback. It just so happened that it played out that way.
I'm going to tell you this, Chris. Chris, that's super chatted. Chris, you.
Yeah.
If they wanted Daniel Jones to fail, they would have made him fail last year, because then they wouldn't have had to sign him. And they could have gotten a quarterback early in the year. They could have got their own guy. They could have got their own guy last year. They could have said, it's our first year. We're taking over a shit team with no cap space and a quarterback that we don't have faith in to sign a 5th-year deal.
Yeah.
Throw it away. Tank. Shit the bed. Get Bryce Young. And I know Bryce Young struggled, but nobody knew that going into the year. Get Bryce Young. Get CJ Stroud. Get one of these young quarterbacks. We don't want Jones here. So we're going to crap the bed, because nobody expects anything of us in 2022. So let's just crap the bed. Let's have Jones fail. Let's win 2 games. Go through the growing pains. We'll get our guy in 2023 and we're off and running. So, no, I don't think they wanted Jones to fail, because if they did that,
of course they didn't want Jones to fail.
It would have been last season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because nobody's going to look at Daboll and go, "Wow, shit, that guy sucks. He only won 2 games." Is that not going to happen? You know?
In an ideal world for both Daboll and Shane, Jones would have been at least what Alex Smith was for the Chiefs. Good enough to allow you to continue building the team. That's what they were hoping after signing him. And obviously they were hoping for more than that, but that at a bare minimum, and it didn't.
Yep. Toasty, thank you for the super chat. He says, if you're talking 4th of July barbecue guests, I got to go JP. Harsh but fair. Harsh but fair. Harsh but fair. I see what you did there. Zach Attack loves this one. Living the Vito Loca. Tommy D. Love Tommy D. It's just amazing that he's got the same name as one of the most infamous people of all time. And Tommy DeVito.
Danny DeVito?
Yeah, Tommy DeVito. The Goodfellas guy. That's his real name.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, the Lucchese crime family. That Tommy DeVito was a real guy.
Yes.
So terrible person, Chris. Murderer. He was horrible. I know in Goodfellas, they glamorize the life of the mafia. I'm going to tell you, the Mafia, not good people, frankly. You don't want to mess with them people. They'll put you in a meat locker. They'll throw you on a hook. They'll make you disappear. They'll dig a hole. They don't build walls, the Italians. They dig holes is what they do. But yeah, Tommy DeVito. It's a Goodfellas guy. It's hilarious.
I see amazing, and I know Amazing Guy's a huge Daniel Jones fan, and I respect him for it. He says, why don't fans get that everything just went wrong this year? I think fans do get that. But I think fans also, at least where I'm at, is just because things went wrong, not just around it, like everything went wrong around Daniel Jones, including Daniel Jones himself. I acknowledge that. Doesn't mean you don't try to upgrade the quarterback position when you have an opportunity to do it. And we do have an opportunity to do it, or at least it appears we're going to have an opportunity to do it. We haven't had that opportunity the last 2 years. It's why I wasn't pounding the table. I didn't want a quarterback in 2021 because our best option was Kenny Pickett. I didn't want a quarterback last year because we were picking 25th. Yeah. Daniel Jones, whether it's mainly his fault or not, is irrelevant. He's not good enough not to be replaced if you have an opportunity to draft an upper echelon quarterback prospect. He's just not.
I think you just nailed it. I think that's exactly the way that needs to be put. He is not good enough to not replace. He is not good enough to go, this guy is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
He's not Joe Burrow. He's not, Pat Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. He's not there. Yeah. He's Ryan Tannehill. And Ryan Tannehill is replaceable.
If Ryan Tannehill ever gave the Titans an option to pick in the top 5, he would have been replaced.
Right. Kenny Pickett is replaceable. Steelers are winning games. But if you mean to tell me if Mike Tomlin could upgrade that position, even though they're winning, they get rid of Kenny Pickett in a freaking heartbeat. They might anyway. When his contract's up, they might say, "Screw this guy. This guy's terrible."
I wouldn't be stunned if the Steelers trade for a quarterback next year. I wouldn't be stunned.
I mean, that's just like I said,
because they're kind of in a very similar situation to the Jets were last year, and they went out and they got. I don't know who's going to become available, but I could see like Cousins, for example. He could make sense. I could see them trading for a guy like Cousins because Minnesota's probably going to be in. Well, Minnesota's winning games now, though, so I don't know. I don't know where they're going to be. But
maybe they bring in Josh Dobbs. He's better than Kenny Pickett is.
He is. That's for sure.
Is. Kenny Pickett stinks. He's awful. That Steelers. I have no idea how the hell that team wins.
Yeah,
no clue. Now they lost to Cleveland, but in overtime, I think. How do they even match? I don't know how the hell Pittsburgh does it. That's one hell of an organization.
I think Pittsburgh does what the Giants did last year every year. Like they get
the most out of everything they have.
They minimize mistakes. They know what their weaknesses are, and they play to the limited strengths that they have.
And it's damn good coaching.
They do it every year, though. They don't try to pretend to be something that they're not.
Yeah,
and that's why football's a game of inches. So if you limit your mistakes and you capitalize on the mistakes that you're given, you win more games than you lose. And that's what the Steelers do every year.
And they play in a really tough division. The AFC North is good. They just find a way. It's Thomas Square. Thomas. Thank you for the super chat. 2 words, Bo Nix. That's wraps. I told you there's definitely guys that like Bo Nix. I am not a Bo Nix fan. I did not.
I know you said he threw a pick earlier. How's he playing outside of that?
They're up 21-7. I know he ran in for a touchdown and he threw a touchdown. I don't know how they got the third one. I'll look real quick. I did not like him at Auburn. So he's on a much better team right now. And I don't know. I'm not
a big Bo Nix fan either. But I have seen his draft charts.
I mean, he's having a damn good game. He's 18 out of 22 for 192 touchdowns, and he's got 28 rushing yards and a touchdown. I don't listen. I'm going to be honest. I don't think the Giants are going to get Bo Nix because unless they're picking, Bo Nix could end up in the top 10. His stock is climbing. Especially, listen, Oregon and Washington are going to meet up in the Pac-12 championship again. Like that's happening. They had a great game earlier, and I'm going to be honest. Anybody that watched that Oregon-Washington game, and I don't think Giants fans are watching it.
I watched it. I
know you watched it, but I'm saying like Giants fans that all of a sudden became interested in the quarterbacks probably did not watch it.
Yeah.
Oregon lost that game because of Dan Lanning. They should have beat Washington. Dan Lanning was playing the game like it was Madden. They were up by like whatever it was, 4 points, and like at their own 45, and he went for it on 4th and 3.
Yeah.
And they didn't get it. And 2 passes later, Michael Penix is in the end zone for a touchdown. And I'm like, that's why you want Michael Penix. because you gave him the opportunity. You need to make Michael Penix go 90 yards with no touchdowns, or I'm sorry, no timeouts, not 45.
Speaking of which, how excited are you for the Ohio State-Michigan game tomorrow?
That is going to be awesome.
That's the game of the year.
Early. Got my plate from. Well, I'm not
That's at 12 o'clock, right? It's an early game.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
So what I gotta do? I'm gonna go to the gym early and do my leg workout. I come home. I'm gonna heat up my cauliflower chicken because this is what I do. While that's heating up, we're gonna have my oatmeal stout because it's cold out now. So you get a nice stout, Chris, a nice stout, a nice porter, a nice dark beer. When it's dark out, you get a dark beer. You got to match it up, quite frankly. I got my chips and salsa all ready to go. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the shit out of that Michigan-Ohio State game, and I hope it's not a blowout because I swear to God, you get all this hype, and it ends up being 42-7.
I don't think it will be.
I don't think either.
I think they're very evenly matched. I think it's going to be a really good game.
It's going to be a damn.
Who are you picking? I'm going to go with Michigan, actually. I think you're leaning Ohio State.
I'm leaning Ohio State, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Michigan. I think Michigan's they're gonna do enough on the ground to win that game.
They're gonna have to. Well, listen, they're gonna have, but McCarthy's going to have to make throws.
He'll have to make some plays for sure.
He has to make. This isn't Penn State.
Yeah.
Okay. He has got to make throws in this game. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see. He did not play well against Maryland. The last 2 weeks, JJ McCarthy has not been impressive.
Yeah.
So
he wasn't asked to do anything against Penn State, and he was a passenger.
Even so, he threw 8 passes. That's not enough. He
can't
do that against Ohio State.
Yeah, he's gonna have to make plays. There's no doubt about it.
It's gonna be a damn good game.
I'm looking forward to it
without question. And who doesn't want to watch Marvin Harrison Jr.? I mean, that's the whole point. That's the biggest reason to watch that damn game.
He's as good as they come. He is the best player in college football, in my opinion.
Maybe the Giants end up with him.
He shouldn't be. Obviously, you're going to go quarterback, Caleb Williams first, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is incredible.
I'm telling you, the Bears going to end up with Caleb and Marvin Harrison Jr. That would be disgusting. And I told you last week.
They'd still screw it up.
They'd still screw it up, Chris. They'd still be a 4-win team. Damn Bears.
Yeah.
Queez, thank you for your first ever super chat. Really appreciate that. And you never get your first.
Hot take here, Queez. Okay.
Is Oppenheimer? I've never watched it. I'm not a movie guy.
I saw it twice.
I refer to the movie guy. I
saw it twice, Queez. Top 5 all time. It was a great movie. No way is a top 5 all time. I think it's probably going to win Best Picture, or it's certainly going to be one of the favorites. It was great. But no, not top 5 all time. It's not even my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, let alone top 5 all time. My favorite Christopher Nolan movie is Inception, and I think there's at least 2 or 3 others that you could say are potentially better than Oppenheimer. It was great. It's probably my top 20, 25 of all time, but no, not top 5. Not top 5. But how are we ranking this? Are we doing this based off of my personal like? Are we doing it like how do you rank this? Because Mike Vinny's probably my top 5, but I know it's not like a top 5 movie of all time by most people's standards. So how are we ranking this?
Yeah. Is it your preference or greatest top 5 ever made? That'd be difficult. I never saw Oppenheimer, so I couldn't tell you. I was watching Bo Nix sling the rock. He does look pretty good, but I don't like Bo Nix. I can't get on board. I can't get on board. I can't see the Giants spending like the 5th overall pick on Bo Nix. I just don't see it. Yeah. And he ain't going to get into the 2nd round. But he might win the Heisman. I'm going to tell you, I'll look at it this way. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is up there. I think a lot has to do with what happens in Michigan, Ohio State. And I think Michael Penix has a good shot. And I think a lot of it has to do with what happens in the Pac-12 championship. If Michael Penix balls out, Michael Penix is going to be your Heisman Trophy winner. If Bo Nix balls out and Oregon gets in there, he might be your Heisman Trophy winner. I think it's down to those 3 guys. I think it's Bo Nix. I think it's Michael Penix. I think it's Marvin Harrison Jr. I think those are your 3 guys.
I think Bo Nix is going to.
I'll be honest. Bo Nix looks freaking good. I still am not a big I don't want to be drafting him top 10. But just watching this drive, he looks good.
I think Bo Nix is going to win the Heisman because I think I think Oregon's going to beat Washington. I just think they're a better team.
I can't go against my guy.
I know Penix is your guy. I just think Oregon's the better football team.
That's going to be a damn good game, though, too. I mean, that's going to be good.
Yeah.
Too bad Oklahoma screwed up in the middle of the year, losing to freaking Kansas, and
they destroyed today.
They put up 69. They were up 40. What was it? 42. They were up 42-16 at halftime, and then they kind of let TCU back into the game because they really kind of stopped playing.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Okay, screw you." And then Sawchuck went. Sawchuck went off today. But yeah, stupid Oklahoma. They should have never lost to Kansas or Oklahoma State. That shit should not have happened. They should have beat them both.
Who's the best chance of beating Georgia? You think it's Ohio State? I think it's Michigan. Just because of the strength of their line.
It's tough because Georgia's defense this year is not nearly the level it's been the last two. They've lost a lot of guys to the NFL, as we know.
Yeah.
But their offense is a lot better with Carson Beck. So as with Stetson Bennett, Jake Fromm, their offense wasn't good with those guys. Their defense was great. So I think, in my opinion, probably Ohio State, because I feel like Ohio State can score a lot on Georgia. Washington, Georgia would be interesting, but I don't know that Washington's defense isn't really good. I think Ohio State has the best chance to knock them off. Or listen, Alabama might have. They're going to play in the SEC championship game. Alabama can knock them,
but then I make the playoffs.
Always has a chance to.
Yeah, but they won't make the playoffs.
If Bama wins, they can't.
You think they get in? Yeah.
It depends on a lot of things work. I mean, Georgia would have to drop below Alabama. They'd both have one loss, but Bama would have the win over them. I don't know if one loss Texas gets in if they win the Big 12 championship. I mean, they lost to Oklahoma at the very end, and Oklahoma's a top 10 team. So you could get a one loss Texas in there. If Washington goes undefeated, they're in.
Yeah. The winner of the Oregon game is Washington game is getting in.
Yes, I think whoever if
and I think both Michigan and Ohio State are getting in, regardless of what happens tomorrow. I think they're both getting in.
I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah,
because like I said, do you put a one-loss Texas in there? Do you put it? See, I think a one-loss SEC champion Bama that beats Georgia could get in. I think they have to get in over Ohio State.
The loser of the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Yeah, that's why this is fun.
Yeah.
That's why 12 playoff teams is too much.
Too much.
It's too much.
It dampens the
watered it right down.
The excitement of the end of the regular season and the importance of the regular season.
Like having a really good glass of scotch on the rocks.
Yeah.
And you walk away from it for a half an hour and the ice all melts and dilutes the scotch.
Yeah.
That's
six I would have been on board with. You wanted to put in 6.
Yeah.
The top 2 teams get a bye. Okay. 12 is too much.
12 is too much.
Too much.
Tutto! Grazie, paesana. Grazie. Tutto è frio, tutto. That's for you, Tutto. Thank you for the super chat. Tainah, my buddies want to have a sit down with Faruqi and Faruqi. How about them? For some possible compensations for being a Giants fan and eating the Knicks ice cream. Now, Knicks does not sponsor my channel. Faruqi does not sponsor Chris anymore. However, I have Knicks ice cream up in my freezer right now, and I plan on having that with my slice of apple pie, my slice of pecan pie that I took home from yesterday's Thanksgiving to eat on tomorrow. That's what I'm going to have. I still love Knicks ice cream. That has not changed. That sponsorship really turned me on to that ice cream. It is damn good. So I still love Knicks ice cream. There's no question. When I go to the grocery store, that's what I'm buying. I'm buying Knicks ice cream. It's damn good.
There you go.
Damn good. They got a customer for life.
Hope you're doing well, Tudo.
Tuto's always doing well. Look at him down there.
I'm surprised Tudo hasn't mentioned DeVito yet.
Yeah, Tudo. I mean, Tudo loves DeVito. Tudo.
We know Tudo's a big DeVito fan.
This is what it's going to be from now on. It's not going to be this. It's going to be stand up.
We're gonna have to have some fun on Sunday with DeVito. We're gonna have to have
without question.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun.
Without question. Andy, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate it. Says, evening, gents. Someone come in. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, my friend. How do you think Tommy D will get on this weekend? Hey.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
He's got a tough matchup. Belichick is known for destroying rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We know that our offensive line is Nkaka, and Andrew Thomas might not play. So I think it'll be a learning experience for Tommy D.
Yeah, I don't expect a repeat performance. I hope we get a repeat performance. It'd be great. But go back, watch the game last week. Like, there were guys. I remember the play right before he hit Bellinger, or not Bellinger, rather, Slayton for that touchdown. I even said it. I'm like, the guy was wide open.
Yeah.
On the left sideline. He just missed him. He threw underneath. And then the 2 plays later, Slayton was wide open. The coverage last week was awful by Washington. I don't think you're going to get that this week with the Patriots. I think the Patriots will come out with a good game plan. Yeah, I think they'll try to limit mistakes that DeVito makes, but I don't expect him to go out there and have another 3 touchdown performance. I'd be stunned if he did that this week.
Yep. Joey D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Do you see Mara letting Shane and Daboll draft the quarterback? He seems too invested in Jones to move on from him. I think we discussed this last week, and the way I look at it, Joey, he doesn't have a choice. If John Mara starts meddling in Joe Shane's business, he's going to lose his GM. He's going to lose his head coach. They're going to say, well, you're not letting me do my job. I don't want to be here. I resign. If you're not, why did you bring me in here if you're going to make the decisions?
I don't think
Mara makes that decision. I think that's on Shane.
And listen, they have to be in the position. So, like, if they're picking 8th, don't flip out if they don't take a quarterback.
Right.
But if they're picking 2nd or 3rd, I would be stunned if they don't take a quarterback. I'd be stunned. So, and I don't think Mara is going to be the one that tells them what they can and cannot do, because let's be real. I know everybody wants to blame Mara for everything, and I've been guilty of that too. There's been times where I think Mara's been at fault.
He has been at fault for a lot of it.
Do you think Joe Shane would have taken this job if he honestly in his heart felt like John Mara was going to tell him what he can and cannot do, especially at the quarterback position? Yeah. I don't think he would have taken the job. Joe Shane was in high demand. Yeah. So I don't think that John Mara is going to prevent them from drafting a quarterback if they have the opportunity to draft a quarterback that they love. I don't believe that. If John Mara was driving the ship, why didn't we extend Daniel Jones on the 5th-year extension? If he was in love with Daniel Jones, he said we failed him. Why didn't they sign him to the 5th-year extension before the year started last year? Yep. I think the Giants went into last year knowing full well that it was a very high probability they were going to have to draft a quarterback going into this year. And they surprised, and they did better than they thought they would. So they brought Jones back. But I don't think John Mara is going to force them to keep Daniel Jones if they feel there's a better option there at the quarterback position. I'd be shocked.
I'd be too. I would be shocked, of course. Jax, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. We need a special miracle. I want Penix and Odunze. Hey, listen, Jax. I said that Giants draft third pick. I love Michael Penix. I don't care about his injury history. I don't care about any of that. Any player can go down at any time. I don't look at that. Oh, he tore his ACL twice 6 years ago. I don't care. Oh, he's a 6-year senior. My God, he's 23. He's old. No, I'm not looking at any of that. I look at the guy. I look at his mental makeup. I look at the arm strength. I look at the improvisation skills. I look at the way he commands the huddle, commands the field, goes over to his players and lets them know when they screwed up. He's a leader, and he's soft-spoken, and he's been through a lot. I like him. So I've said, give me Penix and then trade back up into the first round and get him Odunze. I would love that. That's a dream scenario to me. I know he wouldn't need all the
Odunze is awesome.
Let's move him up. Build familiarity. Get him, get Penix, and then get his best weapon, and then put your money into take the free agency money and buy a lineman that is serviceable, that has succeeded at this level. So hey, we know what his track record is for 4 or 5 years, whatever the hell he was. Let's bring him in here as opposed to, hey, let's draft this guy. Let's draft Joe Alt, and he becomes Evan Neal. We don't need that again, right? No. So I like that. I would love Penix and Odunze to go. Odunze, Jalen Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson, Michael Penix. Hey, you can sign me up for that right now, Jax. I've been a big Michael Penix fan for years. This is nothing new. Michael Penix gets overlooked in this whole quarterback
Michael
thing.
Penix has a big arm. I'm not going to deny that. He could sling the rock.
I love Michael Penix.
Yeah.
This is a lefty, so it's weird watching a lefty throw the football because it looks so unorthodox.
Unnatural. Yeah. Yeah.
But the way he just slings that thing like it's nothing. The whip.
They were talking about it the last time I was watching. The broadcasters were talking about it. It's the strength. I think they were saying like in the way that he's able to snap his wrist, the spin rate of his football is much faster. Yeah.
That spot, and in New York, this is the other thing about this. Drake May plays in North Carolina in the ACC. That's not always the best weather. They play. I don't know if they played Pittsburgh, but they play in an area where you can have bad weather, but it's not bad. Caleb plays in in SoCal, and it's 75 and sunny there every day. We know that. Michael Penix plays in some of the shittiest weather in Washington. Washington State's very similar to New York. It is windy, it is rainy, it is shitty. He plays in that. And when you play in that weather, you need a tight ass spiral to cut through that wind, because if that thing isn't a tight spiral, the wind is going to do crazy things to that. And that guy's got one of the tightest spirals you'll ever see. I'm a big Penix fan.
Listen, I like Penix. I don't think we're taking him as early as we're going to be picking, but I do like Penix. I think Penix is a good quarterback.
I like him.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Michael Penix. I'm a big fan, quite frankly, Chris. He's a big fan. He's huge, does great things over there in Washington. I know a lot of people don't get this.
I am so pumped up for these next couple of weeks. Oregon versus Washington. Look, come on, that's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah, without question. This damn good. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, Oregon, maybe Texas.
And I'm gonna tell you what,
maybe Texas, Oklahoma again. That'd be great too.
Last year's playoff game was one of the best college games I've ever seen between Ohio State and TCU. But then the national championship was such a letdown that you just forgot about it.
Oh, it's terrible. It was 70-0.
Yeah, I think this year you're going to get a really competitive championship game, no matter who's in it. Because I don't think there's any. Yeah,
probably didn't belong there.
Yeah,
man, they got humbled.
The Ohio State game, that was all CJ Stroud. Like he
without question,
he was the only reason why Ohio State had any chance in that game.
Yeah, he was awesome in that game.
I don't think anybody was close last year to Georgia. Like I don't think it would have been 70-0, but I think it would have been a blowout no matter who.
Yeah. Tutto grazie.
Hirsch says that Boomer Esiason loves Penix. Well, he's a lefty. Makes sense.
Oh, there's a lot of people that love Michael Penix.
Yeah.
I know I'm not alone there. I mean, obviously, where to go? Jax is a big fan of Michael Penix because he said he wants Penix and Odunze, so he knows Washington football. Tutto grazie. Tutto. He says, bad dog. All the Giants see is a few badass pro rugby players on the Giants rosters to shake things up and win. Problem solved. Forget about it. Hey, whatever it takes, Tutto. Whatever it takes. You listen. You do it. Listen, you know I'm Italian. We don't say nothing, right? We don't see nothing. We don't say nothing. We turn. Now I got to turn my back on you. We don't see it. We don't see it.
Bahama. That was a hell of a day for you. He says he's a Knicks and a Dolphins fan. He went to both games today.
He told me he was going to both games.
Yeah.
He said he was in New York for both games. I didn't know he was a Dolphins fan, but I know he said he was going to the Knicks and the Jets. The Jets will jet. But
I was shocked. I just assumed. I was at work today, Bad Dog, and I was like, oh, all right, I'll be able to watch the Jet game tonight. I just assumed it was a night game.
3:00. I didn't watch
it. I was surprised.
I was watching Oklahoma, and then I went to the gym. I didn't watch a Jets game. I didn't care.
I got an alert on my phone. It said Tyreek Hill's in the red zone. I'm like, what? I'm like, I didn't even know they were playing at 3:00. That's crazy.
Have you ever heard of, I'm not going to say a fan base, but the media, maybe the players, have you ever heard a team talk more shit and they haven't even been good?
Who, the Jets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're terrible. And they talk, Jet Life Stadium. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, shut up, bro. You don't understand. You're a Jet now. You're not a Packer. You are great. You are a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the Jets are secondary here. They have not made the playoffs in 13 years. It's the longest drought in the NFL. And they're not close. And that's why when people talk about drafting a quarterback, I understand that the Giants could miss. The Jets have missed 3 times in the last 15 years drafting a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah,
None of those quarterbacks have gotten a second contract on the Jets. If nothing else, we would say now they should have never gave Jones a contract. Jones put him in a situation where they had to give him that. So if he did nothing else, he did get a second contract here. Zach Wilson
and they're headed towards drafting another one. If we're being honest,
saying, Zach Wilson ain't.
Yeah, so that's proof enough. Like, don't just bank that there's going to be some magical quarterback. You have to fix.
Knicks is the next quarterback. That's who the Jets are taking.
You think they're going to take Knicks?
Knicks. That's a Jet. If I've ever seen a Jet, it's Knicks.
That's that. I don't want Nix, so I'd be happy with that.
I'm just telling you, he'll win the Heisman.
I can see
Nix will win the Heisman.
I can see
the Jets will draft him like 11th or wherever the hell they end up picking. And the Jets fans are going to lose their mind and think, oh, yes. And he's going to be Zach Wilson. It's the Jets.
Yeah.
It's the Jets. And I don't hate the Jets. This is not like me talking shit to the Jets. It's not. It's just the Jets will jet. It's just what they do.
I'm a Mets fan. The Mets will Met.
The Mets will Met. You know, the Jets will do everything.
That play today, could you imagine?
No.
Because I put the game on my phone after I saw it was on in the background, and on Amazon, and I just said to myself, as soon as that play happened, I don't know what the spread was for the half, but if the spread was whatever it was, could you imagine if you bet the first half of that game and you lost your bet because of that play before halftime?
That's the type of shit that happens to me when I bet people. This is why I don't bet.
That's why
not an NFL.
How does that happen?
It's the Jets. I don't know what else to say. This wasn't I stared down a receiver, guy jumped around, took it to the house. This was a Hail Mary with a shitload of guys down where he intercepted and a shitload of guys to get through. He had to run through a bunch of guys to get the touchdown. It's not like he picked it off. He jumped around and nobody's in front of him and his only worries about getting caught from behind. Only the Jets, man. That's just the Jets. Lex, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, my friend. He says, what up, Baddog Talkin? What's up?
What's going on, man?
Some love. P.S. Give me Caleb. I'm with you on that. There's no question. He says, nah, but are there any good O-line second-round picks? And they did no clue in the second round.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you, Flex. I haven't been looking at any of the second-round prospects yet. Obviously, we'll talk about that in the offseason, but right now, my thought process in terms of the draft is quarterback. But obviously, I do want to take a lineman with one of those. In an ideal world, I want a lineman with one of those 2 picks in the second round, if not both, to be honest with you. But, we'll worry about that, during the offseason. But for sure, that's where my head's going to be.
Yeah. But I'm with you. I'm a Caleb guy. And it's
Caleb.
We're not getting Caleb. We're not going to pick number 1 overall.
Yeah.
So now it's Drake May or Michael Penix.
Unless we trade up, maybe Chicago's stupid enough if they get that first pick to roll with Fields if he plays well down the stretch, and they are willing to trade out of it. You don't know. You
don't know because they could say, "Well, listen, we'll give you to get you what they did with Carolina." So listen, Giants, we'll give you that pick. We know you suck. You probably be drafting top 5 again next year, the rookie quarterback and that shitty O-line. So.
They might.
Maybe the Bears will return the favor. Like we're the whole reason they got Justin Fields.
Yeah, I mean we'd have to give up a ton. You saw what Carolina had to give up this past year, but I wouldn't rule it out.
I don't like giving up a shitload of draft capital, but as you've mentioned before, Chris, if you like your guy and you want your quarterback and you think you do what you have to do to get your quarterback, and then it's your job to figure out how to build around him. That is your job, but you cannot. If you really love a guy, you cannot just sit there and go, well, we're just going to pass on him and take such and such. No, because then you end up where we are now.
When you're in a position like last year, CJ Stroud was a guy that I would have been completely in favor of the Giants trading up for if we were in the position to trade up. We weren't. This year, we will, at a bare minimum, be in a position to trade up if there's a trade opportunity. If they love a guy, you go and you get that guy.
Yeah.
his job is going to depend on the quarterback. That's it. Yep. And he's going to have to live and die with that quarterback that he selects. So if there's a guy that is his guy, he's got to do everything in his power to go up and get that guy. Yep. That's
Agreed. Agreed. Tutto. Grazie. Yeah, grazie. Tainah, you're damn right. We're all supporting our paisano Giants starter at the quarterback. He's showing up with some heart and grit. Giants need more Italians to show up and shine. Do we have any other Italians on the team?
Not many. I don't think so. maybe there's one. Maybe there's one I'm forgetting about.
Trying to think of any.
I don't think so. I think DeVito's the only guy we got.
Yeah.
Let me look at the Giants roster. Hold on. Let me look at the Giants roster.
Maybe we do need more Italians. Is Feliciano? Maybe that's a problem. You know, the Yankees, when they won all their championships in the 50s, they had all the Italian guys.
I'm looking for vowels, Baddog. I'm looking for vowels at the end of the name.
Yeah, Feliciano's got a lot of vowels. Well, I don't know that he's Italian.
I thought, maybe. I thought he was Spanish, but maybe he was Italian.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's Spanish. I don't think that's Italian.
Let's see. I think he's the only one. I think he's the only paisan we got.
We might need a couple more. I think we might need a couple more, without question. Tommy Goomba. Singing with te. Anthony Razza. Paisano. It is a paisano. Happy holidays, guys. Happy holidays to you, buddy. He says, I think one of our second-round picks will be our O-line help. Gunnar Britton, Auburn. He'll be there. He's a good one. That answers the question, Flex Lopez. There you go. Our guy.
Who's that punt returner?
Barry said Ojolari. Yeah.
Ojolari. Yeah, that's a vowel.
That is when the moon hits you. That's Ojolari. Yeah.
Definitely going lineman though, Anthony. I haven't looked into him at all, but I definitely want a lineman. Look at Michigan. I'm sure they got some. Their line's fantastic. I'm sure they got some linemen that are worth being drafted next year.
AC, no parlo Italiano. I do not speak Italian at all. I knew some phrases way back in the day when I would go to the club or to the bar or whatever back in the 90s when you actually had to go out and meet women. You couldn't just do this on your phone. We didn't have that option. So I learned some nice phrases in Italian to say to a woman because it sounds way better in Italian than it does English. And that's about the only Italian I know. I don't know much else. My grandmother spoke Italian because she came from Sicily. My mom doesn't speak any Italian, so I don't speak any Italian. And my grandmother passed away when I was 2, so I never knew my grandmother. But she spoke Italian.
Same with me. My grandparents were from Sicily also. But I don't speak a lick of Italian though.
Nothing's wrong with him. I don't. He doesn't do it for me. I just don't think he's a top 10 guy. I watched him play at Auburn, and I did not like him there at all. He's on a much better team in Oregon. He's playing well. I'm not sitting here saying that he sucks. He certainly doesn't. If we're picking 5th, I don't want Bo Nix 5th. I just don't want Bo Nix.
Yeah, he's having an incredible year. I think he's going to win the Heisman. He doesn't.
The Pac-12 is going to decide that.
Touchdowns and stats don't mean that much to me though when it comes to college football. When I watch Bo Nix play, he doesn't like jump off the page to me.
Right.
Like when I see his physical skills, I'm not like Caleb Williams. I could watch one drive and I could clearly see what people say. Like he's got elite potential. Yeah, and it's the same thing for Drake May. I see it. But Bo Nix doesn't do it for me. I'm sure he can be a good quarterback in the NFL, but he doesn't. I don't know. For me, he doesn't feel like a top 5 pick.
I agree with you. Like he doesn't jump. I watched Bo Nix play, and I'm like, he's a nice quarterback. Yeah. But there's no wow.
Yeah.
There's no wow factor when I watch Bo Nix play. When I watch Caleb Williams play or Michael Penix. I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't watched a bunch of Drake May. I haven't. I watched Penix and Caleb. Those are my guys. I watched them play, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the way I see them play. Like, wow. Or like when I see Marvin Harris, not that he's a quarterback, would you watch him play and you're like, holy shit, that guy's good.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the way it is. Yeah, Bo Nix is a good quarterback, but he's not like wow, like top 5. Wow.
So. Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure he's gonna be a first round pick. He's just not a wow quarterback. He doesn't have wow traits for me. I think JJ McCarthy is closer to a wow quarterback, just in terms of physical traits, than Bo Nix when I've watched him play. But he's not on the level of Drake May or Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Bo
He's
Nix
not
just
on a level
doesn't
of
jump
Michael
up.
Penix either.
Bo Nix to me, Bo Nix.
You muted. Your mic went out. Your mic went out.
I'll just switch to the crap mic for the last 3 minutes or whatever. Bo Nix, when I watch him play, he's smart. He's definitely a smart quarterback. But the thing that jumps out to me, he just feels like a quarterback who has perfected his scheme, his offense. Like he knows it to a T. But in terms of physical skill set, he's not on that level of those guys. I don't want, if I'm taking a quarterback in the top 5, I want jaw-dropping talent. And to me, does not have jaw-dropping talent.
Yeah, I agree. Chris says Caleb, Drake May, Shadur Sanders, JJ McCarthy. I'm not a gigantic JJ McCarthy guy either. And Shadur Sanders isn't come. He'd be stupid to come out. Shadur Sanders needs more development. He is not ready. Someday he will be ready to be an NFL quarterback. He is not there yet. Chris and I have talked about this a lot. If he's smart, he goes back to school. Colorado obviously has a lot of attention. Now they have turned into Colorado again. They got off to a great start. Now they can't win a damn game because their offensive line sucks. They're just not a good team. They have a few good players, Shadur Sanders being one of them. They need better recruits. And I think with Deion Sanders being the coach, they will get better recruits. Also, Shadur Sanders needs to come out in a weaker quarterback class if he wants to get what he's worth. Shadur Sanders would not be a first-round talent this year, not in my opinion. I think you're looking at Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels. I think they'd all go before.
Jaden Daniels is a perfect example of a guy that a lot of people have going. Jaden Daniels is going to be a top 15 pick because we saw this last year with Anthony Richardson, and people were saying the same things about Richardson that they're saying about Jaden Daniels. Like, I remember during this time, Richardson was being mocked in like late first, early second. People were like, oh, we should just take him in the second round. And I always said, he's not going in the second round because people are going to see the raw physical potential and they're going to be like, we could turn him into something. And the same thing is going to happen with Jaden Daniels. He's going to be a top 10, maybe even top 15 pick. I'd be surprised if he wasn't. Bo Nix is going to be a second round pick. I really think that. I don't even think he's going to go in the first round. I know he's being mocked early right now. I think when push comes to shove, he's going to be a second round pick this year.
Yeah.
He doesn't have first round.
No, not yet. He needs to develop this. He's too raw.
I'm talking about Bo Nix.
Oh, Nix.
Shadur Sanders, I just think it would be in his best interest to stay in school another year. Because Colorado's situation, why would you come out this year if you're Shadur Sanders? You're making a ton of money making commercials right now at Colorado. You're getting to play with your dad. This is a super rich quarterback draft class, and you haven't been able to maximize your value because of how bad your offensive line is with Colorado. Why wouldn't you come back when you know that Deion Sanders is going to be able to recruit the lights out next year? He's got that personality, so they're going to have an improved roster. Why wouldn't you come back when you don't have to compete against Drake May and Caleb Williams? And if you showcase your ability more, he could be the first overall pick next year.
Yeah, agreed.
So I just don't see the value in Shadur Sanders to come out.
Right. He's got nothing. He's got nothing to gain, in my opinion, coming out this year. He has everything. He has everything to lose by coming out this year. And next year, he has everything to gain. He's got nothing to lose by staying in college and developing for another year when Colorado is going to have better players. Colorado beat TCU. TCU gave up 69 points to Oklahoma today. Okay, TCU is not the same team that they were last year. They beat a really bad Nebraska team, And then they beat another team. Was it Arizona State or something? They like squeaked by them. They're not very good either. And then they got drubbed by USC. They got drubbed by Oregon, killed them. And then they got beat by Stanford because Shadur Sanders threw a terrible pass on the 2-point conversion. No. Stanford sucks. Like they're not a good team, and they will be better next year without question because they're going to recruit better players to Colorado.
Yeah, so I think Deion is perfect for college. Perfect. Like there's not, because if I was a player, I would love to play for him, like a college kid. And I think Colorado's going to be a much better team next year. Another year to recruit. All the hype, that was the excitement that he brought to Colorado early on in the year. I think they'll have a much better team next year.
Yeah, so get Shadur some more talent around him. Get a better offensive line. Get some of those recruits in there, and
Deion's not stupid. Better. Deion's not stupid. He knows it's in his son's best interest to come back and play one more year.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't see Sanders coming out. L.A. Lou, they give a super chat. Appreciate you. I think 2 good quarterback picks in the 3rd to 5th rounds are Michael Pratt of Tulane and brace yourself, Riley Leonard of Duke. I bet they'll be good pros. Riley Leonard
fans that, Lou.
Riley Leonard will not be a good pro. He went to Duke. No good quarterbacks come out of Duke.
I don't want Riley Leonard at all. I've only seen I saw Duke's first game of the year. I forgot who they played. I think it was another good quarterback. That's why I watched early on in the year. And Riley Leonard played really well in that game.
Was he against Clemson? No.
Yes. It was Clemson at the beginning of the year. Yeah, he played really well.
Clemson sucks, but Clemson's not good.
Yeah. I like Riley Leonard, but I don't think he's a guy that I think he's like a 3rd to 5th round quarterback. And I want nothing to do with him on the
That's what Lou said, 3rd to 5th round.
Yeah.
But the Giants, we don't, if we're taking a quarterback, it needs to be in the 3rd to 5th pick.
I don't want him. But I like Riley Leonard. I think he could be a solid pro, but I don't want him. I'd
rather take Hartman over either one of those guys.
Hartman looked really
even though he's been around forever too, and I don't think he's very good, but I think he's better.
He was with Wake Forest last year, right?
Yeah.
And
he's with Notre Dame now.
Now he's with Notre Dame, yeah.
So I don't know. But listen, guys, it's after 11. I'm going to let you get out of here. Appreciate all you guys and girls hanging out with us on this Friday night. Hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you haven't done so, do me a favor. Just hit the thumbs up because it always helps. Hit the subscribe, ring the bell. More importantly, go over to Chris's channel. Link right in the description. It's the first thing down there because we'll be on his channel for the Patriots and Giants. That is a game you do not want to miss because that has Super Bowl implications. I'm sorry. It has top draft pick implications.
Oh.
And we're going to have a lot of fun with
it's a big game from that standpoint.
It is a big game from that standpoint.
Draft pick standpoint, because if we win, at best, we're going to be picking 5th or 6th if we win this week. Because now New England now only has 2 wins, so we're not passing them at that point. You're not going to catch Carolina at that point. You're not going to catch Arizona at that point. From the tank standpoint, it's a big game. It's definitely a big game.
Without question. So the guys that want to tank, they'll be saying, go Pats. They'll be saying, go Pats, quite frankly. They'll be saying, come on, Patriots. Come on, Bill. Do the Giants a favor. Beat them. And the people that want to win, they're going to say, come on, Tommy. Let's go. You can do it, Tommy. Tyler Lamb Super Chat. He says, eat that. Sudantis. You don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
But I don't know what that means either.
I don't know what that means either. But any last words, my man?
No, I just had a blast coming on here. Always love hanging out with you in the chat. Get to wind down the week. And Sunday we'll see you on my channel. Baddog will be on the channel.
Oh, yeah.
Giants, Patriots. Then we'll get a bye. Maybe we'll do a little bit of off-season content during the bye. I don't know. Probably not. Probably just relax and then get ready for the remainder of the season. But I'm excited to see the season wind down, which is sad to say, but I want to get it over with because then I want to move forward and see what we're going to do in the offseason.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it all plays out. But it's always fun. It'll be fun. At least DeVito playing well last week, I think, gives me a little bit of something to look forward to this week.
Right. Some excitement. Something to watch.
Like, can DeVito play well again? So we'll see how it plays out. But I had fun. Always love doing this show with you, Baddog, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, tomorrow's a gigantic day in college football, and I didn't plug the sponsors.
Oh, absolutely. Can't wait.
If you want to bet tomorrow, you go to mybookie.ag because right now they're running a special promo. I'm not going to do the whole ad read. We go to mybookie.ag. Normally they give you up to a $200 deposit bonus depending on how much you deposit. Well, for Thanksgiving, if you use the promo code BADDOG, you sign up at mybookie.ag. You enter the promo code BADDOG on your initial deposit. Depending on how much put in there, they'll give you all the way up to $1,000. $1,000 on your first initial deposit. And you don't need to just bet on football. You can play casino games there, crap games, slot games. You can also bet on, they say, politics. And again, I can't use my bookie because they sponsor me. So I don't know what they mean. You can bet on TV shows. You can bet on anything there. But you get up to $1,000. I don't know either. Get in my book and find out.
You can bet on a TV show.
I don't know either. I don't know, but it makes it interesting, right?
Maybe it's like TV awards or something like that.
So, and of course, body armor sport. What do we all notice? If the Giants were to have this, you know what? Maybe they need to start drinking body armor sport water, right? Maybe they need some alkaline in their life. I know, because they need to be charged like batteries, and they just stink. But I think Tommy's been drinking this. I think Tommy DeVito, before the game last week, got himself some body armor sport water, and we saw what he did. Stayed hydrated. He stayed hydrated, quite frankly. He stayed hydrated. You know, when you're Italian, you get a lot of carbs. So you want to make sure you stay hydrated. It holds the water in your body. You're hydrated. You're good to go. And he threw 3 touchdowns.
That's an appropriate name for a Giants quarterback, too. Body armor. You need all the body armor you can get if you're a Giants quarterback. They should be sponsoring Tommy DeVito.
They should. Yeah. Without Kevlar vests should be sponsoring him. Bob, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Hey, guys, I'm having lunch with Leonard Marshall tomorrow. Anything specific you want to pass on him? Yes, I do. Number 1, he's the most underrated Giant in the history of Giants. Number 2, Bob, if you could put in a nice word, maybe to have Leonard come on the show sometime.
That'd be cool.
I would love to have Leonard Marshall on.
Cool. Yeah, get him and Carl on. Imagine if we did a roundtable with Carl and
Leonard. Oh, that would be the best if we could ever get both of them on and I just sit back and listen to them talk about 1986 and 1990. Because one thing I've always wanted to ask Leonard Marshall, the worst way, Leonard, I just got to know, what did it feel like to just kill Joe Montana? Because I get goosebumps when I watch that back, and I've seen that hit 1,000 times. Leonard Marshall is, though. He's the most underrated Giant of all time. I always love Big Leonard. Not enough credit. 83.5 sacks. Man, 83.5 sacks on a Giants team, He's not even in
the Ring of Honor. Is he in the Ring of Honor?
He did get in the Ring of Honor.
That's right. He did recently. That's right.
He did this past, and I was happy because he deserved it. I mean, he was very deserving. 83.5 sacks. And again, he doesn't get the recognition he deserves because he played with Harry Carson, Carl Banks, Lawrence Taylor, 2 Hall of Famers and a soon-to-be Hall of Famer. So he played with 3 other Hall of Famers on that team. And I feel like a lot of it goes unnoticed, but Leonard Marshall had big plays in big games.
83.5 sacks is nothing to seize at. That's a lot.
What's that?
That's 83.5 sacks. That's more than Tuck had. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of sacks. He was great. He had 15.5 sacks and 19. I don't remember if he led the league in sacks. No, I don't think he did. He might have led the Giants in 85 in sacks. He had like 15 or 16.5 one year. He was really good. Like, Leonard Marshall was really good. One of my favorites by far. Growing up.
Yeah, like Oshie. I'm looking at his stats, for example. He had 85 career sacks.
Yeah.
So he's right there with those guys, at least from a sack standpoint.
Correct.
Yeah. Crazy.
Steve Leonard was the
man. Dude. And I know Lawrence Taylor was the king of this. You got to appreciate LT. I did not. I'm looking at OC stats as I pulled them up. In 2010, he had 10 forced fumbles. I've never seen a player better, at least in a Giants uniform, than him at that. Like, he was amazing at the strip sack.
Forced fumbles.
He had 10 forced fumbles in 2010, OC Manure. And, of course, he had the forced fumble against Aaron Rodgers in the playoff game.
That's right. That is insane.
He had 10 forced
fumbles. Oh, they didn't keep those stats.
Yeah.
When Lawrence Taylor was there. They didn't keep forced fumble stats. So, I mean, Taylor invented that whole strip sack thing.
Yeah.
Everybody does that because of Lawrence Taylor. But, yeah, the Giants had some damn good defensive players in the history of their team, without question. They've had some of the best. But Leonard Marshall, without question, one of the most underrated Giants ever. One of my favorites. I love Big Leonard. And Keith Hamilton reminded me a little. He wasn't as good.
He was like good.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Keith Hamilton reminded me of Leonard Marshall, but Leonard Marshall was better. Like, he was kind of a poor man's Leonard Marshall.
Yeah.
But when I watched Keith Hamilton play, and he was really good. The hammer was really good. And I'm like, he reminds me of Leonard Marshall. Like, that's high praise because Leonard Marshall was a really, really, really good player. for the Giants. He was awesome. It was fun. That was a fun time to grow up, man. The 80s were good. You young guys, you missed out on it. It was good stuff, quite frankly. It's fantastic.
My first great defense was the Strahan, Hamilton, Armstead era. And then of course, and then of course the Talkin, OC, and
GPP. Yeah, it was good stuff. Yeah. But guys, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you Sunday for the Entertaining Talking Sports. It's the Bear.